God.
All right, welcome back everyone to another episode of Cardboard Hands. Here we are again. Sorry about that little delay of a week there. We're gonna get back onto our every 2 week schedule here. Just had some personal stuff come up, so we are back on track though. But how you doing today? Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for coming. But how you doing today, buddy?
Good, chilling. How about you?
Yeah, doing well. Just man, I'm buried in boxes here. Got the modern box apocalypse coming. I don't know. I've got so much product from random places that I'm just like unboxing and breaking down for packs. I decided to say screw it. I know I've said multiple times I don't typically run mystery packs, but I decided to say screw it. I'm gonna make mystery packs on my channel. I watched PokeRev do it, and I thought I could do a little bit of a better job. No offense to PokeRev, I love PokeRev, but I watched some of his packs and I was like, man, those are pretty good odds, but I think I could do it a little better. So I'm gonna
You
make
probably
some.
can.
So yeah, I've got a
Dude.
bunch of stuff. I've been just buried in it. I was gonna stream today, but too many boxes. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just breaking down boxes. My hands are like raw from all the cardboard that I've broken down, but that's the life of a streamer for you. But yeah, it's all cool stuff. It's all like XY and like old stuff. Basically what happened was I went down to my distributor today and he was like, hey, I'm cleaning house. You want some old damaged product that's got back of the warehouse? And whenever a distributor says that to you, if you ever get to working with one, never say no, because like as long as you like old products. So I knew it'd be a whole bunch of Sun and Moon and XY stuff, just like collection boxes and stuff. And that's exactly what it was. So I grabbed it all, broke it all down. Pretty happy with some of the stuff. Almost a booster box worth of evolutions alone.
Oh, yo, that's a play though.
Dude, they put that in everything back then. They put that in everything back then, and Sun and Moon base.
That's super dope. Honestly, I've been thinking about doing the whole distribution thing, but that's a whole nother topic.
You should, and like I highly recommend, if you get a chance to like get your business license in the state of California. You also need a resale license, but you get your license eventually because it's not that hard to do. It's not that expensive, and that way you can actually sell a little more. If you ever wanted to like publicly sell more, you could kind of buy more without sales tax. There's other benefits.
I need the sales tax one, especially on eBay. Oh my god.
Yeah, so there are benefits to that. I still use my personal account on eBay a lot because you have to separate it. If you're a business, you have to be really good about separating it. But
do you?
So yeah. If you want to take a write-off on it, I mean, there's a whole bunch of things you can do. I'm sure some people aren't as meticulous with it. I just like to try to do everything by the books as much as I can, just because it'll come back and bite you if you don't. So but yeah, it's if you can. And once, I think right now we're starting to see a lot of people exit the hobby, and there's not this like mad rush to get distribution. It may not be a bad time to start looking again or start thinking about that in the future. And it's probably good to do it before it gets hype again too, because if it does get hype again, they're just going to not accept anyone new. But I still have heard from a lot of my fellow streamers on Whatnot and some of my followers that they've been trying for distribution and they can't get any.
No luck.
Yeah, so I don't know how easy it would be to get right now, but it does feel like my distributor, and he's a small distributor and he has not as many accounts, but he was saying that he was having trouble moving some of his product, which is why I was able to buy a lot more today than I usually was. So I don't know. That means there's a lull right now. Maybe other things are happening in the world. But speaking of which, what's going on in the world with you, man? Last we talked, I think you had a crazy PSA submission that was like in the mail that was like being that was potentially lost. I don't know what situation with that. Did you ever find it, or are we writing that off for insurance?
Oh my god, no, it's chilling. We figured it out. Honestly,
okay.
It was a pain. It was the biggest pain in my ass ever. But I'm like pretty close. Like, I'm not friends with the post office lady, but like I go in there every day, so like we're like homies. You know what I mean? So we'll always like talk and like be like, how's the family? So I talked to her, and she was super helpful. She gave me all the information I needed. It's crazy. I don't know if you know this, but it's like with the USPS, like you get your normal tracking, but they have a whole like for tracking. There's a whole under like a whole
she wasn't supposed to give you any of that. She just likes you. Right. We won't tell.
Yeah. I didn't say any of that. No.
Right.
But no, there was a whole thing, and she was like, she hit me with the like, well, it says right here the last time that it was like touched by a person is right here, and that's in this other distribution place. And she was like, yeah, I didn't tell you any of this. And I was like, all right, bad, I got you.
I think the last time we talked, that was a situation like that had occurred. They disclosed what they shouldn't. So that's funny. That's good to be good with them, though. You gotta be good
homie.
with them. Yeah.
honestly. So I mean, just being homies with everyone that you have to interact with on a daily basis is such a
Oh,
good like
yeah.
that's definitely one of the biggest plays you can make in your life. But anyways, so yeah, she gave me the number to the postmaster and she told me everything I had to do. And then I got in touch with the postmaster. The postmaster was super, super chill. And she actually was like, well, the package should be here. She actually like tried to look for it for me. And she's like, oh, well, I don't know where it is, but I think it literally just left while I was looking for it. So everything like by that point, it seemed like everything pushed in a good way. And then it came. So
I mean,
that's
most
pretty much it.
packages get there. That's the thing. Like a very few. I mean, there's some get lost. It's true, but for the most part, they eventually get there. That's
Yep, I got
that's funny.
these 2 cards in it.
I just
Right
want to
here.
say, how cool is it? Oh yeah, dude. Okay,
Gold
so shout
10.
out to your latest video. So Flex God just put out a new video. So if you haven't, go check it out. But those 2 cards, I saw those. The PSA 10, and then that's PSA 9, right?
PSA
Yeah.
9 Shining Gyarados.
So for those who can't see it or just listening, he showed a Shining Gyarados PSA 9 first edition from Neo Revelation, and then a PSA 10 Skyridge Golem crystal, that's more beautiful to me. Everyone loves that Gyarados, and I agree, it's a great artwork and everything. But man, that crystal card, that thing is gorgeous. The hollow pattern on crystals were really nice, like the way they did the whole pot. Do you think that they did the right thing in also releasing them in reverse? Do you like reverse crystals?
I kind of hate reverse crystals.
Oh,
How
I
do
hate
you?
them. Yes,
I think
thank
they're
you.
ugly.
Thank you.
I
They're
mean,
the worst.
I think it's a good like poor man's version. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you can't get the hollow version, I think it's okay to get the. You know what I mean?
You want a poor man's version? Go buy a damaged copy and get a PSA 1, like all real collectors.
Yeah, real collectors collect PSA 1s, dude.
No, don't do that. Don't do that. Please don't do that. There's enough PSA 1 collectors in the world. We don't need any of them. PSA 1 collectors, they're another breed that you don't want to be one of those.
I sent in a Dark Magician Girl first edition. I really wanted to get a PSA 1. Part of me was like, I should have damaged it more. You know what I mean?
It's so hard, man. It's hard. Like, I have a submission of PSA 1s that I'm gonna send into, and some of them are on like the fence. Like a couple of the core. Okay, I shouldn't be on the fence of this because my plans are to keep one and sell one. So I need both of these Koro Mews that I have in my submission to come back as PSA 1s. So what should I do to make sure of that? I should bend that crap in half, right? Right?
Pretty much.
I mean,
yeah.
But here's the thing. They're beautiful cards, and they're rare cards. They're old cards. They're not that rare. Koro Mew, Shiny Mew is not that rare.
Yeah.
But they're beautiful cards. They're
It's a dope card.
Around the edges, right? And so it hurts me to think about purposefully damaging the card more just to try for an arbitrary grade that I already know is arbitrary, that I know that if I probably sent in that same card, if it got a 2 or a 3, another couple of times, I could get the 1 without having to damage that piece of history anymore. So like part of me loves the cards too much to want to damage the types of cards that I would send as a PSA 1, because they're already so damaged. Like, that's the reason I have them, is because nobody else valued them. So like I took them and I gave them a home, and I want to find, I value them. So like, for me to like damage a card more just to try to get that arbitrary grade as a PSA 1 collector, it feels wrong. I would rather submit the same card, get a 2 and a 3, and waste the money and the time and not have to damage the card, just knowing that one day I'm going to get that grader who looks at one little indent and he says, oh, that's a 1, no problem. And that's what I need. So, because I have PSA 1s that look like PSA 5s. I have PSA 5s that look like PSA 1s. I don't have them anymore, but I've seen them.
Yeah, no, I feel you.
So it hurts. So like, I hope your Dark Magician Girl gets a 1, but would you be super hurt if it was like a 2 or a 3? Would you
No, I wouldn't. No, I just be like, it is what it is. You know what I mean? I just want to have
some things are too with cards, or you're just planning to keep that, right?
Yeah, I just want to have a good one. I literally want, the only time I would get rid of it is if once I find a cleaner copy, because that's literally the only copy I've been able to get my hands on for the most part. I know I can find one on eBay if I tried really hard, but I'm like.
So I know you've talked about this in some of your videos before, but I feel like you have a really good way with finding cards, like very high value, good condition cards, and then getting a good deal on them without giving too many of your methods away. What do you like to do with that? Because I personally do find a lot of cards, but I find them in like the mid range. maybe I'm not
Mhm.
looking in the right places, but like, what are some of the things you do to look for those types of cards? And that's one of the reasons I like this podcast, is because you operate with the hobby in such a different way that I operate with the hobby. So it's always kind of cool to pick your brain about that. But it's very different for me, because like I don't think I can think of one high grade card that I've done, like besides a couple flukes that I've gotten in the last year, but I don't grade that much. But you do. So what are some of your thoughts on like how do you find your acquisitions, or like why do you think your success is like, or how do you think your success is or what do you attribute your success for, I guess?
That's a good question. I think the main thing that attributes to my success is I really enjoy that treasure hunt feeling, if that makes sense. Like I love that feeling. When I first started, dude, this is a funny story, but when I first started getting into more vintage Pokemon, like okay, I got into Hidden Fates and I love that feeling of Hidden Fates was like accessible, but it wasn't because everyone would buy it pretty fast. So I love that feeling of like, all right, like if you guys want to play this game, I'll drive to every Target until I find it. You know what I mean?
It's
Like
like,
I
and when you
love,
find it, you get that feeling like, ah, cool, I got it. Yes. How many are
yeah,
there? Yeah.
no, that's a great feeling. I love that feeling. Like that feeling is such a rush. And that's one of the few things that I really, well, not one of the few things. It's one of the things that I like the most. Do you know what I mean? In
Yeah.
terms of like cards, is you can go out there and hunt for things and you can make it happen. And it's so like when I first started getting the vintage cards in my head, I was like, I'm gonna find vintage base set packs for $5. Like that was my like goal. You know what I mean? I
Heck
was like,
yeah.
I'm gonna make this happen. I don't care if like I'm gonna figure out a way. I will dig. I will literally look everywhere. So when I first started, I would drive to every wall. Dude, in my head, I was like, I drove to every Walmart. I drove to Walmarts and Targets thinking I was gonna find old vintage packs, but then I quickly learned that's not how it is.
Well, you
And do you
saw the
know what's
Leonhardt video, right? Where you lift it up and there's a
you know
vintage
what's
pack. So why
crazy
not?
is before Leonhardt dropped that video, I saw because I was going on YouTube. I was typing in how to find vintage packs in stores.
Oh
And
my
so
gosh.
there was one video. No, I'm not even kidding you. There was one video. I think this is the one that started it all. There's one video at 200 views. And it was this dude just doing the target lifting up thing. And I went to all of my targets. I went to every single one within my vicinity. I went through all of them. The best thing I found was an old Heart Gold, Soul Silver, like starter deck. Like it
You actually
wasn't,
found
no,
something?
it wasn't good. It was a starter deck booklet. It
Oh,
wasn't.
but it's okay. Well, it's just a booklet, but still is something from that era. I would not imagine. Like, I think one time, I think my girlfriend and I were hunting. I was able to like convince her to let me do it, and like I think I'm pretty sure someone walked by and looked at me, and I never did it again because I felt so like weird doing it. Right.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, that's funny. So
Dude.
you like the treasure hunt then? That makes sense because I see a lot of the cards you find are like treasure. It's
Mhm.
like hidden treasure, a gem, a diamond in the rough.
There's a lot of nuance to it. I mean, I'll talk about it. I don't really care. You know what I mean? But it's like you got it. For me, it's like I love that feeling, and that feeling of like you go to a store and you just find a really mint card. Like I love that. Like hunting for hidden fates translate into that. You know what I mean? Because I was hunting for vintage packs, but then it's like the end of the day, like the treasure hunt feeling of like finding a really mint card at a really like good price. That's like
So
you
you
can't
have a
really
fair
beat
amount of
that.
card shops in your area, don't you? Like you have a couple near you? Is
I
that
have there's a lot of card shops opening up, honestly. I have like a really corporate one. Then I have two, three, four. There's like five, you know what I mean? In the
and so this
general
is
like
within like we'll say a 30-minute drive or something?
yeah, like 30 minutes to an hour.
Yeah,
So
because my nearest card shop's about 45 minutes away.
oh, is it?
Yeah. I am the closest card shop and I'm not a card shop. I'm at home. So like
Yeah, no,
home
I feel you.
business. So like
That's so interesting.
it is weird because I do feel like card shops have been opening up a little bit. I've been seeing a couple of them pop up around the like, and I feel like it feels like they're trying to capitalize on the hype too. But for some reason, it feels like not the right play to make. It feels like opening up a card shop right now, even though there's a lot of hype and a lot of demand and everything, it just doesn't feel like it would be a safe or good play unless I felt like I have always felt that I would open a brick and mortar if I also made it with now I'm getting in publicly in my plans for the future, but if I could
I
make like
get
a streaming room that was also always running streams so that it didn't rely
Mhm.
on being a storefront that people had to walk in, that you could use the internet to your advantage. And
Yeah.
so I'm a streamer, so obviously I'm going to want to incorporate streaming into a business, but I always thought like those would be the only types of card businesses that might be able to, like Going Twice. Like I don't, shout out to Going Twice on Whatnot. I don't know if anyone knows of Going Twice, but they're a huge seller on Whatnot, and they have a model with their business where they are just constantly streaming. They're just always online streaming. So like I feel like that's it. Just, I don't know, opening a card shop, unless you were doing something like that, it feels like it would be a little risky. I don't know, not even
Mhm.
talking about like the pandemic and stuff, just like other reasons, I guess. I don't know. What do
I
you think?
agree
You
with
think it was, so you said that you've seen some more pop up, but just to kind of take a side, do you think it's risky, or do you think these
I
guys
think
are
it's
making a good
risky.
decision?
I think it's risky because it's like at the end of the day, it's like, I don't know, there's a lot of overhead, and then there's a lot of physicality issues that happen in having a store. And then especially in like where I live too, like there's a lot of like break-ins. I don't know, you
Oh,
always hear
okay.
about card shops
I
getting
wasn't
broken
even thinking
into.
about that, like security issues, but yeah, you're right. You have that
There's a
very real life issue of like people actually breaking in. Actually, I've heard Mason from Cardinal Gaming, he was struggling with that a few months back with a couple break-ins, which I hope it's gotten taken care of. But I mean, there's
Mhm.
not that's rough. I bet you with collectibles they do get targeted a little more. Probably pawn shops too. And you don't want your collectibles to have like bars over the window. It probably doesn't give the right,
Yeah.
and that's what pawn shops do a lot of the time. And what are collectible stores? Shout out to Mason, but nerd pawn shops. So
True. But yeah, I don't know. I just think that like you said, there's a lot of risks involved. There's a lot of overhead. And it's like we live in the age now where you can literally do it out of your room. So
yeah.
it just, for me, from my perspective, like logically, it doesn't make sense personally. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like the
But
only reason it seems like someone would do that would be to get more distribution, because you have to like be a brick and mortar to get in with distribution. Because like
mhm,
I've heard that if it's like someone like me, I've been in with my distributor for almost 2 years now. Wow, it's crazy thinking about that. But if you didn't
yeah.
have previous connections, apparently you just can't get a distribution working for you. So if you're a brick and mortar though, I guess they make exceptions and they actually work with brick and mortars. So maybe that's why some of them are just like, hey, it's the only way we can play ball, so we got to pay rent and overhead, but at least we can get product then. So I
Mhm.
guess that would make a little sense. But okay, anyway, we got off on a big tangent. I wanted to hear how you find good cards. So it seems like, so you went from it's a treasure hunting and then you started going more to card shops, because that's what I think a lot of people don't utilize is their local card shops, and it's for multiple reasons, right? Some
Mhm.
maybe because people got in the last 2 years where we were all in lockdown and we weren't allowed to go out, and so how could you interact with the local card shop really?
Yeah.
Or if you didn't have one near you, like for example with me, there's no card shops near me really. And the one that is near me does not do Pokemon really. They do all
Mhm.
Magic. It's like all Magic singles, and they have some Pokemon product, but it's a very different dynamic, which I like Magic, so that's fine. But um,
Yeah.
so yeah, so okay, so you, if you have card shops in, so a lot of your success seems like it's come from having a lot of good buys from card shops and things.
It's kind of how I view it too is it's kind of just adapting. I wouldn't even say card shops are the essential answer, because before Pokemon took off, I never went to card shops. I was like, card
Okay.
shops are like overpriced. I'm not trying to pay market. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
no,
so I
totally.
would always, I could go on, this is in the era when you could go on Craigslist and you could buy out a collection and you could
Shout out
buy.
to Craigslist, bro. That I've got some of
Mhm.
my best purchases from Craigslist way back in the day. None anymore though.
Craigslist
Nothing.
offer up that type of stuff. You can't, dude. Everyone is fiending on those binders now, where it's like it's not even worth it anymore. Like
No.
I know there's off the top of my head, there's like 8 to 10 people I know they fiend on Craigslist and offer up, and it's like I'm not trying to compete with them. You know
Have you
what I
heard
mean?
of Goodwill? The Goodwill auctions? Have you seen those?
I have seen
Yeah.
those.
Those are the same way. They never, like, I think I saw PokeRev do a video on it the other day. Like
It's not.
he did like, I bought some stuff from Goodwill, the auctions, but they all go for super high and they're all just like super beat up for the most part.
Yeah, it's not that good. No, literally, one of the Goodwills here locally had a bunch of base set packs, and this lady bought them all out. And I was like, "How much you trying to get for them?" And she's like, "I paid a lot for them." And I was like, or she's all like, "I don't know." Each they charge her like 200, 300 each pack, and I'm like, "Bro, like that's almost like pretty much market." Like, you know
Market.
what I mean? Like
Yeah.
all those avenues are gone. So then once you lose those, that's when I started going to card shops, and I was like, okay, I have to learn the nuance of card shops, and then I had to learn how to make margins doing something at market price, or finding like I don't know, like loopholes in the system, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because
You have to
there's
adapt a lot. That makes sense. That does make sense. And I think that's something that is good about being like kind of like, because I also will adapt a lot because I am a small business. But if you're like a big business, your whole thing is like, I don't know, just Pokemon, and you only do one thing, like booster boxes. If booster box sales stop selling and like they go down and go down to like $90 like they had been, like you're kind of, you would have to pivot, but I don't know how you'd be able to pivot. Like what are you gonna do, start opening packs like instead of
Mhm.
selling booster boxes when all your customers, so being small like the way we are, we can pivot and make those sort of things, but it's probably a little bit harder when you're bigger. So once again, going into more risk the bigger you are. So
Yeah, it's getting for me too with great. Like, it's a lot harder to find cleaner copies, as you know what I mean. I know people have talked about it before, where it's like you could find PSA 9s and 10s on eBay chilling. Like, obviously that era is gone, but for me, I could find like pretty easy 9s for a while. Do you know what I mean? And now it's to the point where a lot of things like haven't picked off, and then it's like a lot of the card shops kind of stay stagnant in terms of their inventory, and they do get in new inventory, but it's a lot of modern, and then it's a lot of stuff that's pretty poor condition. You know what I mean?
you know what the last frontier is that everyone says, and my Discord's gonna be really mad at me for saying this because they
Mm,
want to keep it a secret, but it's
yeah.
Bai. Bai.
Oh, bro, I got this one off by E.
Yeah, it's not a secret. It's not a secret at all.
It's
But
not a
like,
secret.
it's like
Yeah,
the
literally.
last frontier. It's like the last frontier. It feels like.
You need I think about this a lot, but it's like in terms of like coming out on top, or like doing the best for yourself, I guess, is there needs to be like barriers of entry. And it's like everyone knows how to grade now. Everyone knows everyone knows about condition now. Everyone knows about what's worth what now. So it's like you have to figure out other things that people can't figure out. And it's like Bai has a lot of barriers because like the Japan thing, there's a little bit of risk. Like, you know what I mean? Like you have
Yep.
to take the financial risk of getting scammed. There's all those levels, which is nice, which gives you some room to like gain traction, but it's also like everyone knows about it too. So
Yeah.
I
I
don't
mean,
literally I've
it's
seen
you're no,
TikToks
you're not
about it.
wrong. Like barriers to entry is, I think, one of the most important things about like, because like everyone wants like those Japanese beautiful like full art product like box things, the Pokemon Center box things that they always release, but nobody realistically goes and gets them because you don't see them at the store, and they're like the shipping so much, you know, go through a middleman. But I feel like those
Mm-hmm.
things do really well because they're just like, there are all those barriers to entry like you're saying, and it's like it creates it so that the guy who's just going to go pick it up and put it in his closet, he had to do a little bit more to go put that in his closet, like to make it to the closet. It had to like, you know, go through more steps, and they're just probably not going to do it. And so like it's definitely, that adds a good thing to a lot of product that you wouldn't think would add like, I guess, value to, because you
Mm-hmm.
would think that it would want to be more accessible. Something like a product, you would want it to be more accessible to more people, and it would do better because it would have more exposure. But it really still has a lot of exposure. It's just not as accessible, so that the people who do want it have to go a little farther to get it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. No,
Yeah.
I think you're right. You do have to play in you can't play in the same playing field as everyone else. You have to try to find a niche. I now a lot of shout outs here, but I hear Pat Flynn say it all the time on his channel, but he says the riches are in the niches. And I definitely think that's true.
Mm-hmm.
Like you got to find like what you're good at and like what other people aren't doing so much. And then when you find that, try not to make it too apparent that you're doing it and you're being successful, because then everyone else is going to do it too. And you're going to have to pivot again.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
and it's not
If
just cards, it happens in everything, you know?
Yeah, no, exactly. Who was saying this? It was a Pokemon YouTuber, but they were like, I used
Who's
to work
that?
this, was
Jim Mint
it?
Pokemon. Yeah, just recently.
Yeah,
They-
I watched that same exact thing you're talking about, where he's like, I made this much doing this, but then now it's like so optimized or whatever, and
Yeah,
everyone's doing it that it's like 1/4 of like what it used to be.
yeah,
And yeah, it's just like markets optimize them. Like if there's an opportunity, everyone's gonna jump on it. You know what I mean?
absolutely.
Everyone's gonna push through it. So you have to keep looking for those new opportunities.
Yeah, and if there is a reason why there's a reason why people do that too. It's because it seems like a good idea. So like, I mean, I always go back to this concept, and I think about some of my best purchases and some of my like my favorite purchases that I feel like I got away with a good deal on the most, and I remember the most. They were always things that at the time, like looking back on it, I feel that way. But at the time, it felt incredibly risky, felt almost foolish. And almost every time I didn't go and like advertise that I made this purchase whenever I made these risky purchases, because I was worried about like, I didn't want to like advertise the fact that it was going to be, I didn't think it was right, but then it was a home run and then I'll talk about it. So like, I think there's also a lot of it, like people only like to talk about their successes. And I think it's not because people are trying to hide their failures, because I wasn't trying to like hide my failure. It's more of like a pride thing, you know? It's like, you don't want to advertise like, it's not like I think that people are going to think less of me, but it's like I might think less of myself if I like, you know, put that foot forward. I don't know. So I think there's a lot of it that it's, you got to have self-talk with that kind of stuff. And I think even I struggle with it a lot. I think everyone probably struggles with that kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, no, I super agree with you. Yeah, it's interesting because at the end of the day too, it's like to be ahead of the curve, you have to take a lot of risks. You know what I mean? Like you got to take those risks and then you got to just roll with the punches. A lot of risks or really bad L's. You know what I mean?
And I mean, to quote someone, I mean, to quote now Charlie, who says, you know, if you're not, it wasn't Charlie, he said, it was in that same podcast we were just referring to.
I think it was Charlie. I know, dude, that quote stuck with me too. It's the one, if you're not taking losses, then you're not buying enough.
That was the best from the whole podcast.
That hit me so hard.
I took away so much from that podcast, but that one quote that he said right there, that if you're not losing sometimes, you're probably not buying enough. Like in the sense of business. This is not like financial advice for like stonks or whatever, but I took that so viscerally, like you said, because it's true. It's like you really can't always win. You cannot always win. And you can't let those losses, those few losses you have to take, really weigh you down. Like I've been letting this happen to me, and I was talking about this in my Discord recently with my some of my friends, but I've graded a PSA 10 Snorlax, a gold Snorlax from Chilling Reign, right at the height, like right after Chilling Reign came out. That thing was like ripping it, like 800, 900 bucks. By the time I got it back, it was like 700 bucks, right? So I saw the writing on the wall, right?
Yeah.
I posted it up at like 650, try to sell it, right? By the time it gets there, it's sold in auction for like 550. So it's fallen. Now I still have it. It's posted on my eBay for like 500. The last sale was like 425 in an auction. And I regularly turn down auction or offers for 400, but it's foolish of me. It's foolish of me because I'm in on the card at about 250. So for me to turn down offers at 400 on a card that I could make, I'm not even going to take a loss on. I'm going to take a win, a $50 to $100 win, even after fees. Like it's foolish for me not to take that. And here I am. I got this stupid card right here. And I turned down another offer today because I have this price memory that it was 700 or 800. I'm like taking a loss because I didn't sell it. But it's not good mentality to have. I really need to break through that barrier, and I need to accept the next $400 offer I get, you know, and because I love the card, but I didn't buy the card because I love the card. I bought the card to sell it. And so your intentions when you're buying something, you want to be real with yourself, right? And like, it's always nice to think that you like all these cards, you love every card, because I love Pokemon. I love it. And I want to be able to say, oh, I love that card. I'm never going to give it up. I'm a true collector, right? But at a certain extent, like, what is a true collector versus what's not? Like, you have to be able to let go sometimes. And we talk about it on this podcast a lot, but like, sell your cards. Like, go sell your cards. Like, you will love them just as much after you sell them. Hell, maybe you'll love them more because then you'll feel like you lost it. You want to get it back. And when you get it again, it'll feel even better. I don't know what
I also think I don't know. I was talking about someone with this too, because he was talking about his childhood cards, and he's like, well, I don't even know. And I was like, honestly, dude, like I sold all my I'm like, I sold my childhood cards, but I was like, it's like, I don't know how to explain it. Or here, watch, I have a good way to explain it. It's like, regardless, you sell that childhood card and you're gonna put that money into something else. You're gonna put it into another card, and almost in a way, it like honors the memory of that childhood card. Like I remember my aunt would always take me whenever I slept over at her house. She would always buy me like one pack of Pokemon cards, and so I actually pulled a Lugia and I pulled a Ho-Oh
Oh,
from
that's dope.
dude. I know, and so I graded them later when I got into grading, and so my Ho-Oh got a 5 and my Lugia got a 7,
Oh,
and
well,
then
that's not bad.
so yeah, they're not too bad. And it's like most people get attached to that whole sentimental, like, well, this is my childhood card. And I was just like, I felt that for a long time. But then this one dude really wanted my Lugia. And then he's all like, I'll try to use Expedition Holo Charizard for it. I was like, and
Good.
he no, it was that plus like 4 other Charizards. You know what I mean? And I'm like, bet it's done. And it's almost in a way now that Expedition Charizard is it still has the same essence. Like I'll never every time I look at this Expedition Charizard, it's at grading, but every time I look at it when I get it back, it's gonna be like, it's gonna remind me of the Lugia and how that Lugia turned into this. So it's like, it's not
Right.
like people like I don't know. I think there's a common misconception that people are all like, if you sell your cards, you're not a real collector. And it's like, dude, like we have the same, like, just because we sell cards doesn't mean anything. We have the same connection to cards as like anyone else does. It's just like we let it like ebb and flow within the financial systems of America. You know what I mean?
And flippers are important to the hobby. Like people like to crap on flippers and resellers, and they're like the lowest of the low. Can't wait till they get burned and get out. Like you see it on Facebook, you see it in these posts, you see it even from big positive and like influencers like Leonard. They're saying things like, oh, the scalper's this, the scalper's that. And I understand that why that sentiment is out there, but they are good for the hobby because it creates this level of like fluidity or liquidity within the hobby where things are moving, and it creates a market price, whether it's lower or higher, it depends on the market, but it's good to have that sort of movement. I will say that I personally don't advise people only get into the hobby to flip. I think that you need to probably know about what you're getting into if you're going to get into things like that and still have a connection to it. So I think that the argument that every single person or that a lot of the people who got into it just to flip don't like Pokemon is a little bit disingenuous. I think they just might enjoy it in a different way, or
Mm-hmm.
it's a different way. But I think that there's something to be said for the flippers out there and for the scalpers. I know everyone's going to say down in the comments, scalper, you're just a scalper, that's why you feel this way. Evil flipper, streamer, whatever, overpricer, whatever it is. Yes. So I get that I have a bias in that I'm a streamer and I sell cards and I want them to go higher. So you would think, of course, I am going to make the argument that the card should always go higher. But oftentimes, you guys have heard me talk on this channel. Like, I think that modern cards should be cheap. I think they should be cheap and available. I personally think that modern being unaccessible and going to the moon is not a good and healthy thing for the hobby. And I've been on record saying that lots of times. And like, is it more profitable for me if they go to the moon? Absolutely. But is it better long term? No, I don't think so. So yeah, I mean, it's very interesting, I think, the way that people interact with hobby. And I always love having this conversation. I'm pretty sure this podcast, like the whole podcast is probably has like a sub theme of like, how do you interact with the hobby? Like, how do you like to interact with the hobby? And we're always talking about like selling because we're sellers, but
Mm-hmm.
but I think there's different ways to interact with the hobby. I mean, even as a seller, like as a collector, I mean, as a player, there are people who just like sell auxiliary products in the hobby, like Ultra Pro and sleeves, and I think there's the other competing, BCW or whatever. What is it? Yeah, BCW. Like, there's all kinds of different competing ways to make money in the hobby. So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's such an encompassing hobby, and I guess that's kind of a good thing that to lead into what are the main topics I think I want to talk about tonight. It wasn't something that was on the docket before, but I think it is a good topping talking point, because like a lot of people are talking about it right now, and I hear this word burnout thrown out quite a bit in the hobby, and it's something that I think is kind of a little ironic to hear. Especially it's a knee-jerk reaction when people hear something about something like a hobby or collectible or something that people do to escape or have fun. So
Mm-hmm.
like, do you believe that like burnout is a thing, and like, do you experience it at all? I will go into, just before hearing it, I will say I have experienced what I would consider burnout. So I think it's a real thing for me. But do you think it's a thing for like someone like, I want to reference Leonhardt because he put out the video today
Mhm.
saying, I'm sorry, talking about how he's feeling burnt out. A couple other YouTubers kind of responded to it and talked about their takes on it. But what do you think? Do you think you can really get burnt out on something that's like a hobby that you love or collectible? Or is it as easy as just like, just step away, bro? What are you doing? Like,
No,
what's
I think you can get burnt out, honestly. I think burnout exists in any like way, shape, or form for like anything. You like, yeah, this is for fun, and it's like fun and it's very enjoyable, and it's a lot better than 99% of other jobs. But it's still work at the end of the day. Like, I don't know, the stuff we have to do is like, for me personally, it's like I know I have to do a lot of mental math, I have to do a lot of calculations, I have to do a lot of risk management, I have to do a lot of, if I put this money here instead of here, what's the better decision? Should I spend this much on here, or should I wait until maybe I have an opportunity? You know what I mean? There's a lot of mental like there's a lot of mathematical gymnastics that you got to do to like make sure that you're doing it like right. And it's very tiring, and it's very, what's the word? Like, burnout makes a lot of sense, you know? But for me personally, I haven't really experienced it too much. I kind of like, I don't know. Ever since the high of like the hidden fates, hunting for cards, and then being like, oh, I can sell my cards, that high is still like there. It feels really good to find a good card for a good deal, and to be like, wow, I just made like 2 weeks of work, like 2 weeks worth of like pay off of one card. You know what I mean? Like, that feeling is like really nice. So for me personally though, the one thing I was getting burnt out on was YouTube.
hmm.
So
Like in what
I don't
way?
know.
So I think that's what Leonhardt was referring to as well. So I think that a lot of the time what I was referring to was burnout based on like the overall hobby and cards.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what you're referring to is more of what Leonhardt was going through. I don't know if you saw his video, but he basically
Mm-mm.
was saying that he over the last 6 months had been feeling like he wasn't putting like his all into it. And for the first time, he missed, I guess he always uploads 4 videos a week. And this is the
Mm-hmm.
first time ever that he didn't. He did 3 videos and he missed a Sunday. And
Oh
he was,
dang, that's crazy.
yeah, and he was saying that that was like a big thing for him. And like he said the reason why is because he's feeling burnout and he's feeling like he couldn't put out good content. So he didn't, like, he felt like he had to, but he didn't want to because he wanted to put out good content and he didn't want to force it, which I totally get. And it does sound like it's more of kind of like what you were going through than, because I don't think Leonhardt was burnt out on Pokemon per se. I think that Leonhardt still probably, he probably loves Pokemon just like he did, but maybe the
Mm-hmm.
process that he goes through, like, and that's kind of what you're referring to, is maybe you're going through a little bit of a similar thing where like the process, like your creative process, maybe like the grind of actually making the videos. Anyone who watches my
Mm-hmm.
channel, which you're on my channel now, oh, I should have said this in the beginning. We'll
Oh, I
have to put a
forgot.
little. Yeah, we
Yeah.
are going to be. So I don't know, you're probably 45 minutes in the podcast. We are going to be moving over the next 2 weeks. We're going to be moving this podcast to its own channel called Cardboard Hands. So just if you're listening, just know that this will eventually stop being on this channel and go on to its own channel. But
Yeah.
I don't. If you watch this channel a lot, yeah,
Link below. Put the
yes,
link in
link down
the
below to
thing.
that other channel as well as the Flex Gods and all of our other channels and everything. But you know me, I don't do a lot of editing on my videos, and so like it doesn't take me a lot of time for like to do content creation. So like I don't think of that aspect. I actually do content creation to get away from my burnout of streaming. And so it's kind of
Mm-hmm.
funny like to think about that, but like this conversation we're having and like this video we're making, I made a couple other videos in the last few days, like it is how I escape the grind of selling cards, because like I
Mm.
love this hobby and I love selling cards, but I also like talking about it and I like, interacting in a different way. And when I'm selling cards, like people just want to buy cards. They don't want to hear my take, my hot take, and I don't want to hold them, captive by sitting here spewing. So like so I kind of don't get to interact with the hobby how I really want to when I'm streaming, I guess. That's not to say that I
Mm-hmm.
don't like interact with people how I want to, but like I can't sit here and, bullshit like this for hours or whatever, because they'll be like, hey, what's for sale next? Go on to the next auction. Like, what's
Yeah.
going on? So like I think it's burnout can be different things for different people.
Yeah.
Because like I use this as a release, like, but for some people it can be sort of, that could be their prison.
Mm-hmm.
So do you feel like that ever got better for you? Do you think the burnout just it went away after you did you take some time off? Did you think you had to do something about it, or did you just kind of let it go and just deal with it.
I took time off. Like I didn't upload a video for like 2 months. You know what I mean? And it felt really good. It was like weird because I was stuck in this weird point where I took on a sponsorship. So they're like, you have to upload a video every month. And I was like, okay, that's fine. And I felt like bad because I was like, bro, like I don't want to make YouTube videos. It goes back to what you're saying about the Leonhardt thing, where it's like he felt like he had to, but he wasn't making. Do you feel like he didn't feel like he was doing a good job? And I was like, I don't know. Sometimes I'm like, I feel like making Pokemon card YouTube content is very self-explanatory and like cut and dry. Like at the end of the day, it's like buy what you like. Like I don't know, you buy what you like and you just figure it out. Like it's very like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
this is the type of content I like to consume. I like to consume the long form conversation, deep thought, sort of philosophical, like, you know, market analysis type conversation. So the type of YouTube content that I think the general populace likes to consume, I couldn't do that. I would like to think that I could, because I've grown up consuming a lot of it, and I can still consume a lot of it, and like I'm a Pokemon content creator, but like I couldn't be the type of content creator that like Real Breaking Nate is, or Leonhardt is, or
dude, I don't
Super
think
Duper Danny, or all these, you know, these really great, these great content creators who put out regular videos. Like those are the best content creators. Unlisted Leaf, those are the ones that get the most views. But I also feel like those ones, that's got to be hard. It's got to be a lot harder than people like to, you know, like to think it is. Like, I mean, I don't know. I think a lot of us, we just get it's easy to get introspective. Like as things have cooled off, like when everything's going to the moon, people get very emotional, and it's very like knee jerk reaction. Like the streamers are doing so well right now because everyone's doing well. And you kind of feel a little jealousy maybe, or maybe a little bit of like FOMO. Like you feel like, at least maybe I, as a watcher, maybe felt that way at times, but like it's not justified. You know, now that things have cooled off, I think it's interesting because people can have a lot more of a civil conversation about these things, right? Because I almost feel like over the hype, and I've said this a couple of times, I think I was more anxious over the big boom than I was over the crash, like when it kind of crashed here over the last 6 months or so. And I don't think it's crashed. I actually want to go back on what I just said. I don't think it's crashed. I think it's corrected though. It's quite
cards have gone down for sure. I feel like I've hardly even noticed though. I don't know why, but it hasn't affected me at all. Like
yeah, so I actually wasn't noticing it until this month, really. This month I've noticed just a general downtick in overall sales volume. And I think there's a lot of macroeconomic issues that go into that too.
Gas
so like
prices.
gas, yeah, I was about to say gas prices. If we don't even talk about the world and everything, there's gas prices that are in everyone's face. So there's that.
There's a lot,
but there's also, I think, the fact that there's maybe a little, this time of year, it's springtime, you know, a lot of people are getting out. The pandemic's ending. A lot of people are, I mean, maybe it's not ending for some people, but for a lot of places, restrictions are loosening. Masks are becoming, you know, less mandated and more optional. And so I think that a lot of people are feeling more comfortable going out and spending their money in other ways. And then they're just not consuming as much content right now, or they're not interacting with like inside type things, which I get that too. It's a cyclical hobby, you know, it's one of those things that I feel like people who are in the last couple of years who got in, and I got back into it in the last few years, so this is me too, we're so used to things just moving so fast, right? But I do feel like it is a relatively slow moving hobby.
Yeah. No, I feel you. My
got used to it, you know?
Huh?
We just got a little bit used to it being fast. That's all.
Yeah, that's true. It was very boom like for a long time. I was gonna say though, for in terms of keeping track of like, because I know you keep track through like volume and stuff, but I keep track of the market through like just general prices. Have you noticed that a lot of singles have gone up recently in the past month?
It depends on where. Like, so the last
I was
month
watching
compared to January, yes.
Yeah,
like
they're just on it's like a slight uptick of a lot of like old Watsy stuff, and I'm like, it's interesting. I don't really know like what that means for anything at all whatsoever.
K-shaped recovery. I think that term that I hear thrown around, that I think that refers to what you're saying, is called a K-shaped recovery. It's where it does this and then it does this, so it's not as sharp of it's not as sharp of an up, but it goes like this and then it kind of goes up like this. So I do believe that's what we're sort of seeing, and I would say that's probably true. But overall, there has been a slight downtick in overall volume.
No,
From my perspective, that's all.
no, I see that. Honestly, that makes a lot of sense.
I
Yeah,
did
I just
sell
saw.
a high end card just recently though, so some high end cards are still moving.
Sheesh, what'd you sell, if you don't
Um,
mind?
so the Magi, I collect the Magi Versus series.
Mm-hmm.
It's like there's a series of cards where it's like two different Pokemon fighting each other, and they're both on the card. They're all embossed.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And so I sold my PSA 9 version. So I have a PSA 10 of this card. This is my 10.
Yeah.
And I had a 9 too, which I think would grade a 10 if it got cracked and regraded enough times.
Mm-hmm.
And I let it go for around 600 or so, 550, 600 range after fees, a lot less than that. So man,
Yeah.
I hate eBay fees.
eBay.
Whatnot is so much better than eBay as far as like selling on, like when it comes down to the bottom line and getting, I would so much rather make a sale on Whatnot than eBay. It's almost twice the fees on eBay. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So aside from that, it was marked at 750, and the gentleman who bought it from me had been he'd been literally making offers on it for like 400, 300, like for literally months. And
Oh, yeah.
it was on auto decline anything less than 500.
Yeah.
So I was only in about 300 on the card total. So I want to actually say I'm in 500 on the card because I actually sent two of them in. One got a 10, one got the 9. And so I'll include the grading fee for both of them because that's the
Mm-hmm.
risk that you take. And so you have to include. So it's technically like 500 in on the card on both of them.
Yeah.
Like the cards and the grading fees. So selling my 9 at 550, and then basically breaking even and then getting a 10 out of it felt like a good move, even though I
Yep.
do believe that card is probably a really good card, and I do believe it'll 10. And I personally think those Magi cards, I probably shouldn't sell them anymore. I think they're
Mm-hmm.
undervalued even at that high of a price. But it was
Yeah.
a high market price though. It was the highest sale I've seen on eBay for that card.
Oh, really? Dang, that's crazy.
So setting a new market price there. And if you
Sheesh.
don't use one of those eBay market checkers, it looks like it sold for 750. So
Oh, okay.
so people will think that's higher than it was, but it wasn't that high. It was significantly lower than what the actual sale says.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's still
Yeah.
a high sale for the card, so I was happy with it. I honestly kind of made the decision to make the sale because I wanted to make it a public sale, because those things don't ever really happen publicly. It's always like behind the scenes. And I
Mm-hmm.
had the 9, and like I said, I was just recouping some of my grading costs.
Yeah. No,
I
I
guess
feel you.
it's one of those things that I feel a little bit of regret, because like I
Mm-hmm.
like the card and I do believe it. And even at that, like even though I'm coming out as a win, it just feels like, I think the person, they knew too, because they sent it to their PWCC vault.
Oh, did they?
So they're gonna go and resell it. They're gonna sell it in an auction for probably more than that.
Dang, that's crazy.
So I'm gonna be watching for a PSA 9 Houndoom versus Pikachu coming up in the next month or two,
Mm-hmm.
seeing
That's
if
super
I got
fun.
robbed or if I made a good decision there.
Yeah. Heck it, honestly. I think it's okay to just move on from those cards.
Yeah, that's how it goes though. That's how it goes.
Yeah, I try not to like get stuck. For me personally, sometimes for a long time I would get stuck on like, oh, I wish I would have capitalized more on this, or like would have gotten more. Or like this card is gonna be this much more later. But it's like living that state of mind sometimes is like stressful for me. You know what I mean?
I did
And
get some
then
ultra premium collections today.
did you?
Yeah.
Sheesh.
So there were, dude, Vault X, or not Vault X, what is it? StockX. StockX is a company that sells everything basically. Like, StockX is. Anyway, they do this thing where they verify the products. And so so apparently these products were sent back from StockX, and StockX said that they weren't real, but my distributor sent them to them. So like so like how could they not be real? So it was just someone at StockX who didn't know what they're doing. So I bought them. They were just totally fine. And I bought them
Yeah.
back from my distributor for a good price. So I'm pretty happy to have 4 more, because I sold out pretty much of all of my UPCs. Let me rephrase that. I didn't sell out. People won them on my channel on bounties and things. And so
Yeah.
Yeah, those were really good for bounties, and so they went really quickly. But I'm happy to have a few more. I'll probably set these ones back though. I probably won't
No,
sell these ones.
that's a good call. I think you should hold on to them, honestly.
Did you ever see any of them in the wild? Because I know you were holding off on picking one of those up.
No, I didn't. I didn't want to do the whole grind. It's like I didn't want to do the whole grind of go to Target.
You
You know
would
what I
have
mean?
found it on that one. That one was too. That one, I know that even if you were good at the grind, I know people just couldn't get it. There's like 1 or 2 per store.
Dude, I was like on another side topic. I was so good at the grind. On like,
So
dude,
you
it goes
think you
back.
could have gotten one, huh?
I think I could have gotten one, but I gave up after. Well, I didn't give up on the UPCs. I gave up on the grind of like retail product for.
Yeah,
It was so not okay.
it wasn't the
Because
play. It was not the play at the time. It was what
there was
everyone
a
was doing.
there was a play. Yeah, no, dude. When I first started, because I started Hidden Fates, and I was so obsessive that I got to know the lady, like, and I would be the only person, and she would just be like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna be here on this day and this day and this day, and you can come hang out." And I'd be like, and we just like talk. And she really likes painting, so and I went to art school, so we talk about art and shit, and it was
Nice.
super chill. So I just like go get a couple Hidden Fates and say what's up to her. And then when I started getting the sports cards, I was like, oh dang, that's crazy. So I had full access to all then this is when sports cards like that first like wave when sports cards were
People were shanking
crazy.
each other and pulling guns on each other to get these sports. This
Yeah,
is the
and
good sports cards.
yeah, this was like you buy a sports card box for $20, it's going for $100 on eBay. And
Easy. Like
I
that.
knew I knew the exact everything.
I
Like I
never got
knew
on the sports train. That was one that I didn't get on. I should have, but yeah.
Dude, I knew the exact times of every restock. Like I knew schedules for every Target and every Walmart in my area. I was the only one there. I could literally just walk into a Walmart and I had access to all the sports supplies. Like you
I
know what I
made
mean?
some friends waiting in line at Targets for restocks back in those days. Like when I would see the same people, I actually saw the same people in my town. I would make friends with them, and we just like while we are chilling, waiting in line, we talk.
Yeah, for real. It was chill. And you just split with everybody. But then it got to the point where it's like there's 10 people, there's like 15 people. And it's like I knew it was bad once it got to this point where this one guy, I don't know if I told you this story.
No, I
Um,
definitely haven't heard this one. We probably maybe on your channel, but not here.
Oh, so basically there's like, I mean, there's like 3 of us. We'd always like, there's like 3 or 4 people. We'd always be like, yo, what's up, dude? Be like, all right, split 4 ways today. And we're like, yep, yep. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And then this one time we're there and this one dude, he comes up and we're waiting. Like we all know the lady, we're all homies. She like has her bag on the like, you know, like the like supplier,
On
like
the cart.
boxes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then
I
we're like,
know.
all right, we're gonna wait. And then freaking this dude comes up and he's like, yo, where's all the cards at? And we're like, we're waiting for them. So you know what I mean? Like the lady's gonna be here. And then he's like, what the fuck? Like, what are you guys doing? Just sitting around? Like, you know, we're like, bro, like, what do you mean? We're just waiting for her. Her bag's right here. She's gonna go in the back. And he's just and like she's gonna go in the back, come back, and like we'll be chilling. And he goes towards all the boxes and he starts just tearing them apart. And we're like, bro, like, what are you doing? Like, you need
Like
to
that's
chill.
how we're gonna get kicked out, man.
Yeah, dude. I'm like, bro, like we're literally like, dude, like you need to
Chill.
chill. And he's all like, bro, I'm from the hood. that was his reply. And we're like, bro, we don't give a fuck. That doesn't mean shit.
Like,
This is sports cards.
It's like, what do you mean? Like you're about to be on the street now. It's like you get
Dude,
kicked
it was
out.
so dumb. And he was just like, he grabbed a bunch of shit. You know what I mean? And I was like, no one was saying anything. We're like, bro, you should chill. You should chill. And then he's like, nah, fuck you guys. I'm like, you guys aren't gonna grab any. And we're like, no, because we're gonna wait. Like this fucking like you
Like,
don't
we
do
know
this.
the lady. Like you can't just do it once and then like what about next time you see her? She's gonna look
Yeah,
at you
dude.
like
Like, don't rip through all the boxes. Like, it was dumb. But then, anyways, like, and no one was saying, I was like, honestly, dude, fuck this dude. And I was like, dude, you're kind of a bitch. And then he's like, what'd you say to me? And I was like, you're a fucking bitch. And then he's all like, you want to fucking go right now? And I was like, we'll go if you want to go. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's so dumb over
oh,
sports cards,
man.
but I was just
Were-
like,
did I read about you? Was that you I read about in the paper?
dude, that's funny. But yeah, no, it's just like for me, it was just like, bro, like all of us were being very civil, and he, you know what I mean? Homie comes in acting like he's fucking hard. And it's like, dude, I just had to say something. I just had to be like, bro, because I hate it when people like kind of abuse that, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, bro, like we're all people here. Don't try to be better than, or like, don't try to act this way.
Who are you? It's like, who are you? Like, what is this? What is this entitlement? Like,
Yeah, dude, it was so dumb. Like, bro, you can't just throw a fit and go through all the boxes like you're better than. We were there for like 20 minutes. Like, you know what I mean? And then he
he's
just,
from the hood,
I
dude.
just,
He's from the
huh?
hood. He's from
He's
the
from the
hood,
hood, bro. He's from the hood. So
From the
he
hood.
oh.
What they do, all right?
Nah,
What they do.
it was dumb. But so like literally, I was just like, bro, you're a bitch. I just had to say it. In my head, I was like, I'm just gonna say you're a bitch,
Did
and
you
that'll
end
be the
up
end of the day.
like going like getting involved, like getting in a fight or anything, or was it just
No,
after that?
so what happened is like you're a bitch, and he got all hurt, and he's like, you want to take this outside? And I was like, I'll see you outside in a little bit, bro. Like, you know what I mean?
Get my
I'm like,
cards here, bro. It's like,
yeah,
I'm not
exactly.
here
And
for
then
you. I'm
fucking
here for the cards. Like,
no, and then so he's like, fuck you. Like, you know, he does this thing where he gets up in his face. And it's like
right.
when people get like that with me, I'm like, bro, like if you want to do it, do it. Like I literally don't give a fuck. Like, you know, if you're gonna
Like, we're on
fucking
camera here. This will be fun.
yeah, I'm like, bro, like it's like in every social way sense, like, bro, you are completely in the wrong. All I said is you're a bitch because you're being a bitch. You know what I mean? And
That's
then he's like, fuck you then. Like, you know what I mean? You know how people get like that when you like stand up to them and they get all like, what? And they try to make you like you
right.
back off. And I was like, bro, like, yeah. And it's like, no, I don't give a fuck. Like,
Yeah.
anyways, so then homie got all like, I don't know. I feel like he's all bummed because I wasn't like backing down from him. Like, bro, you're a bitch. That's all I gotta say. So, and then he's like, fuck you, I'm gonna go get my cards and leave. And then so he fucking goes up to the register, and then he goes to pay, and then fucking one of the dudes, like one of the four homies, he's like, ah, that dude forgot his card.
Oh yes.
Oh my god.
That's
and
great.
then
So he didn't even get him. He couldn't
no,
even.
I think he went to his car, and this was me being petty and pissed. And I was like, I went to the register lady and I was like, yo, honestly, you really shouldn't sell to that homie. He literally just like cut in line and cut through all the boxes. And she's like, really? And then I was like, yeah, honestly. And then she's all like, yeah, that's a good call. I won't do that. I was like, bet.
He probably
then,
didn't even. So he probably didn't have the money on his card, and when they rang him up, he's like, "Oh crap, I have to pay for this." Like, oh
that's
man,
funny.
and he just never came back. He's like,
no, the story goes on. So then
oh
we
no,
go
so
back.
it goes on. Oh no.
So then the lady brings all the cards that he was gonna buy back, and then oh my god, it's such a dumb story. Holy fucking shit. It's such a long, dumb story. But so that they bring all the cards back, and then he comes back and he's like, what the fuck? These are my boxes and blah blah blah. And then I'm like, we're like, bro, you've literally ripped through all the boxes. All of us were here first. Do you know what I mean? And by that time the Target lady's there, and she's all like, I know all these people, like the four, like us, and they're like,
we have a thing that's like a system set up so that
we're all homies and we all split it for like whoever's there. Literally, we would have split it with you 5 ways. There's 5 of us. It's like, bro, get over it. It's not a you come in, you go through the boxes and take all. You know what I mean?
Who can elbow the other guy out of the way more? It's not like a battle like that. It's like that's how bad YouTube like shorts are made, basically.
Mm-hmm. And then it's like it's such a long story short, but like long story short. Is the the manager came, the manager of the Target, and then he's all like, oh man, it turned into this whole thing. Because you remember how he's acting all hard to me. He's like, well, I'm from the hood, I'm gonna fuck you up. And it's like the manager comes and he's like, this isn't fair. He fucking starts like almost crying. And he's like, it's just not fair. Like,
he's
this
isn't
actor. Fair. Yeah, no, like he broke character too. It's funny, I'll tell you, but he's like, this isn't fair. These people come in and they buy the cards, and then we can't have any cards at all. He literally started acting like that. And I'm like, man. Bro, you're a 4-year-old. You're a 4-year-old. Do you know what I mean?
He knew.
And he's all like, he said something. And he kept going that like, this isn't fair, you know what I mean? And then he said something, and I said some like I forgot my snide remark to him, but I said something to him. Do you know what I mean? I
so probably the manager was there talking to all of you guys,
and he was just talking to him,
and you were having to explain that.
Yeah, we were having to explain the situation. He went to tell his. We told told our side. We were like, bro, we're just waiting here, and he went.
There's an altercation in the store, so they had to.
So dumb. Oh my god. Anyways,
okay,
so he's on his it's not fair rant or whatever. And then he said something else, and I was like, I just said something snide to him really quick. You know what I mean? And he's like, he changed character so quick. He's like, he literally goes, fuck you, I'll fuck you up right outside. And then in front of the dude, he's so dumb. He said that in front of the manager. And the manager's like, yo, none of that here. Like, my comment was very just like, yeah, I probably said something dumb, like, yeah, you're right, life sucks, life's not fair. Like, I probably said something stupid. But anyways, so then the manager's like, none of that. Like, she got pissed when he said that. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, that's why she had to get involved. She was probably sipping her coffee, eating Ritz crackers, whatever managers do in the back of Target. I assume they all sip coffee and eat Ritz crackers though.
Yeah,
And then she got called down to deal with this altercation over Pokemon cards, and like that's the last thing they want to deal with, I'm sure. So
dude, it was so dumb. But then so anyway, she's like, all right, guys, you guys can split all the boxes. Like, this was not directed at him though. She was like, all to the original 4. She's like, you guys split that up, you guys leave, and you guys can go pay and leave. Do you know what I mean?
And so he didn't even get anything.
He didn't get shit.
Wow, nice. Well, good.
He deserved not to get shit.
No, after acting like that, well, that's why that's just funny to me. That's so funny to me that like
I know, it was very just. It was very like, all right, bro, like you're gonna act like you could have just waited for us, and we could have just waited for her to come back, and then all of us would have just split it. And it was like, dude,
that was such a weird time. I mean, for so many reasons, like that story could not have existed at another time. Like we're talking about people getting in a fight over Pokemon cards, right? Like, or almost
it's basketball cards, but
cardboard, shiny cardboard.
Pretty
but
much.
It's like it's such a crazy time, and that was so normal. You're hearing so many of those stories. Like that story you heard, I feel like I heard that every day on Facebook. Like literally every day I was reading something different about that. You would see someone post one of those viral videos of like people getting in a fight while they're waiting for the cards at the store, or they're mobbing the cart lady, or you hear about people like following them from store to store, like following them out of the store, following them when they get in their car, going to the next store.
Dude, oh my god.
Literally hear about all that. Like and luckily you don't hear about that anymore, because I think it's cool. It was just wild, bonkers, crazy time.
This era.
But like, do you think the hobby will ever do you think that was the top? You think that is, to me, that feels like the tippy top? Because like, were you around collecting, or were you too young in 1999 when Pokemon was really booming to remember that? Or did you you said you had some original cards, but were like, do you remember how popular that was? Because
I never got to be around it necessarily. Like I played the games, but the cards my parents were very anti cards, so I never really experienced the like boom for its. Do you know what I mean?
Were they, so my parents, not my parents, but my uncles and aunts and like my extended family were all like really against it too, because they thought it was evil. They thought it was like Magic the Gathering, like the devil and Dungeons and Dragons and stuff.
Oh, I've heard that a lot.
So all of that stuff was under that umbrella, including Pokemon. And I lived in the Midwest, and like not the Midwest, it was like Oklahoma. So it's like, I don't know. You can't call Oklahoma the South. People get all mad when you call it the South, but it felt like living in the South. But I've never really lived in the South, like in like Alabama or like Kentucky or something. But like Oklahoma felt like the South, and so I don't know any better. So I'm gonna call it the South. But but like there, it was very considered evil. Like there was a small card shop I grew up going to, which is where I have so many good memories. Like I had a bad family life. I was very poor. Like not great family at home life for the most part. Like, and so I would use like, I didn't have a lot of friends that lived near me. I had some family that lived near me that I'd be friends with, but like most of the time I was an awkward kid. I would go to the local card shop as like an escape to like have a cool, safe place to like make friends, interact, like, and do things I liked. And so I was really fortunate to have a local card shop in the Midwest, or not the Midwest. I keep calling it the Midwest, in Oklahoma, in this small town. But they were only there for about 4 years when I lived there. And during that time, Pokemon was booming, but they got ran out of town. That's a whole nother podcast, because they got ran out of town because they were literally next to the movie theater, and everyone had to see their Magic the Gathering and like Dungeons and Dragons stuff going on. And they did not like that. I remember everyone would be like looking in the windows when we were playing on Friday nights, like the townspeople, like it was some spectacle. It was crazy back then, man.
Weird.
I was an 8-year-old, so I mean, I didn't care. Like, I didn't care about that. But I remember people like looking in, like watching, like because they didn't understand. I don't know. So anyway, it was a different time, and people were really excited about it. And you couldn't even, I think base set packs were almost like $10 or $20 for like first edition. And like regular unlimited was like $5-6. And like EB Games and GameStop, like GameStop didn't exist, but EB Games was like the equivalent of GameStop in malls and stuff.
I remember that, yeah.
They would have packs for like $7, and that was like normal for their price, and that was like really expensive back then, of like base, fossil, jungle. And it was hard to get, but even back then, and that was the first original hype, like the biggest hype ever that it experienced, and then it only went down from then. I feel like the last year that we went through, was more hype than that. And I think that more people and more growth occurred last year than any growth in the 90s ever could have. Obviously, the 90s were more important because it's what established it. But like, do you think we'll ever get that level of growth again? Like, it was such a black swan event. Like,
I don't know.
when you
I
were in it, was Hidden Fates recently. That's when you got back in. It
mhm.
hadn't really blown up quite yet then. It was blowing up. It was getting bigger. But because that's when I was getting it too. So I remember it did feel like it wasn't really until like halfway through the pandemic that I felt like it was really like gone and away, you know?
Yeah, that's when it felt like, well, because I saw, this is what I thought was interesting, because the crazy blow up with sports, Pokemon was still sitting there so hard.
So
Like,
sports blew up first. Is that what you're saying? Because I
yeah,
didn't know
dude,
that.
sports cards was like, when that altercation happened, um, there was still so much Pokemon. I want to say it's when like it was like early Darkness Ablaze.
It was
Like
Vivid
either,
Voltage. It was Vivid Voltage. I remember vividly that it was Vivid Voltage.
yeah, so when the sports card thing happened, when people were fighting over sports cards still, Darkness Ablaze, it was like, I think it was literally like a month before Darkness Ablaze came out. Because one of the guys I would talk to in the forum, he'd be like, yo, do you think Darkness Ablaze is a good buy? And I was like, I don't know, bro. Because he knew I like
I
Pokemon
don't
a
know.
lot. Do you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
And he was like, it makes sense that it'd be a good investment because it has Charizard in it. And I was
Yeah.
like, all right, bet. I don't know. Go buy it if you want. But in my head, I was like, no, I don't know, dude. Literally. But that's also
Garbage
when
set. It's a terrible
that's
set.
that's when there were those Burning Shadows ETBs and they were
I
$39.99.
remember those, and they had those stickers because they were $10 off on sale. Nobody wanted them. And you
Dude,
could
I
also
bought
find
so
the
many of
Shining
those.
Legends Raichu boxes too back then.
Dude, the hack with that was to go to Target and they would have them and you could say, hey, can you price match GameStop? And then you price match GameStop. I got like 5 of them for like they were like $15 a piece.
Oh my god. Yeah, nobody wanted them. People don't
Yup.
realize about Shining Legends, but nobody wanted that crap. People wanted Hidden Fates. And if you
Mm-hmm.
were lucky, you get some tag team stuff, maybe some old GX tag team stuff. But
Yeah.
even that stuff you didn't really want that much. You'd only get it because you didn't have Hidden Fates to buy.
No, that era of like right before Vivid Voltage was a golden era for buying retail Pokemon because nobody wanted it. And if you were like educated enough to buy the right things, super chilling. I had like 10 Burning Shadows ETBs and I had like 6 or 7 of those Raichu boxes I got for like $15 because I would just grab them every time I bought sports cards and none of the sports bros wanted it. So I was like, they just looked at me weird and they're like, you like Pokemon? I was like, hell yeah, I love Pokemon.
Yeah, it
You
was
know what I mean?
hilarious. They look at you weird, right? The sports people, they're like, you can have it, bro. That's for you. Sure. It's like, all right,
And
cool.
then you give it 3 more months and they're all over
They're
it.
wanting it. Exactly. Yeah. It's like, dude, what do you think I want this for? You think I'm just like going and like, I don't, what do you think I want this for?
Dude,
It's sports
that I
season.
missed that little window so much. That
It
window
was
was
fun.
so good.
The hobby was really fun right then. And I think a
Mhm.
lot of people felt that way.
Yeah, no, because you could find stuff and it was a lot of it was really good plays. Like the Togepi. Was that the same time? Was that Togepi Cleffa box or is
It
that
was a little bit
later?
that was just a little bit afterwards, but that was in that time where people weren't really, yeah, that was that
And
time.
then do you remember the premium? It's like the Pikachu figure box where it has Pikachu and like Sobble. It's like the full art
Mhm.
card with Pikachu,
I just sold one of
Sobble.
those last night. That thing sells well. That thing stonks, man. Every time I sell one, it goes up in price. It's a
Yeah, I
$30
wish.
card. Or I think it's a $30 card now, but I sold it for like 25, $26 last night. It surprised me.
Yeah. No, I wish I kept more stuff I had from that era. And then Hidden Fates when the Ultra Balls and the Great Balls were coming out.
Oh
I
God.
had a lot of those.
So
Those
that's a win because I never saw those in the wild. I was never able to see one. I got one Rayquaza box one time. That
I
was
only
it.
bought one Rayquaza box because I was kind of broke at that time. So I bought it and I opened it and I was like, hell yeah, that's dope.
I
I even
opened mine too, and I regret it.
yeah, dude, no, that box goes for a lot. But
It's a $600 box.
I have this. I have the premium powers, or it's like Hidden Fates. Like it's the one. It's like the Rayquaza, but you don't have the figure. It's like the red box. It's like
Oh,
a
that one's
400.
pretty good too, though. That's a really good box too. The
I
figures are
have
always
that
broken
one.
anyway.
Yeah, no, for real. But dude, those I'm like we're nostalgic for a time that was like 2 years ago. But that I had so much time in that during like just opening stuff and just buying stuff and it's just like
I
oh
legitimately think Hidden Fates will go down in history as being one of the best sets of all time.
Dude, it's good. And then it's like, this is when if you kept that stuff sealed, you're actually big brain. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like
Because it
keeping
was
stuff.
worth opening it back then. It was worth it.
And then it's
Like,
at the point, huh?
like if you were to get it for retail, at least it was worth it. Because like it was going at that point, the 10s were like 30 to 35 bucks. Even on secondary market, like when you could buy them for 20 bucks, they're 30 bucks. Which you think about it, that's pretty good. That's 50%. That's like a 50% upcharge. That's really good for just like flip. That's a flip right there.
Dude, I
Quick, do a
love
backflip.
Hidden Fates was so fun. And then it's like, I don't know, but I was so jaded with Pokemon because then you remember where there was like the point. It's like they remade a certain ETB. No, they did the Hidden Fates ETB again, but then more Hidden Fates would keep popping up, and then it was like, oh, I guess they're just gonna print Hidden Fates forever.
People started getting sour on Hidden Fates because the narrative of the time, you remember, they're like, oh, they never reprint ETBs. They said they'll reprint other stuff, they'll never reprint ETBs, especially not Hidden Fates because it's a holiday set. And then what they do that January, they dropped another reprint of Hidden Fates, and then people were like, oh, but they said they would never reprint Hidden Fates, and then they kept trickling out, and I think people kept seeing it on their Facebook feeds, and it also had something to do with a lot of people. You know how people in those Facebook groups like to post pictures of old product being stocked and be like, look what I found at my Target today, this old restock, but it's just an old photo that they doctored up.
Yeah,
I think that's manipulative in a way, because people kept seeing that kind of stuff of like old Hidden Fates, and a lot of people like me, they knew that wasn't a real picture, but a lot of people in the chat, they were in the comment section, I see them say, oh, Hidden Fates restock, Evolutions restocks, haha, you guys are all idiots for buying it, see, they're gonna get reprinted 1,000 times, it's still being but when in reality it wasn't a real picture. So I think there was a lot of that going on during the last couple of years in those Facebook groups. And for some people like to they like to put people down when they're speculating on something that they like. So like for example, I think if somebody really likes Hidden Fates, right? But they don't have the position in Hidden Fates that they want. And they see somebody in this group with a position in Hidden Fates, and they're like, I don't like, and they want to see that person, that Hidden Fates, they want to see it lose. They want to see it lose because they don't have it, and they don't have a position in it, and they would want it, but they didn't get to, so they feel like maybe this other person somehow took it from them, and so there's like this feeling, I think, in the hobby where, or they think they're a scalper because they got more of it and they didn't sell it or didn't open it or something. And so you see a lot of it in the comment section where people like want these people to lose when they have no real stake at all. It's like you have no stake in this. Like you don't have the product, you're not trying to buy it. You're just here in the comment section just shitting on this person, saying how you hope that they, lose their money and have to sell, etc. Terrible, all this stuff is like, I question why that has to exist and like where that even comes from, because it just feels so hostile and unnecessary,
I think, I don't know, it just feels like a jealousy thing.
I think that's what it is. Like, I think that's, like you said, it is jealousy. It's like some person seeing someone else, but it is funny, you saw that a lot, and I think that overall, that feeling, because Burbank got so big, all these Pokemon groups got so big, and people were seeing the same things on their Facebook as they're scrolling. I think that overall feeling and sentiment did seep into Hidden Fates, and it's continued to sink into it. It has not moved up much in price. I'm still regularly buying Hidden Fates ETBs for about 140. And so 140 seems very expensive when it's a $50 product, that's what you're hunting for retail. But it feels like 140 just feels still like, for a product like that, I still feel comfortable buying it at that price. And it hasn't moved much since that initial restock, that first restock. It went down. It was like 180 at one point. I think they were almost 200. They were pushing 200 at a certain point, right?
Yeah.
And so then it would drop down after that initial reprint to about $100. And it's been very, very slow moving since that. Because I bought a case at 100 each. So I bought one case at 100 each when it dropped, when that happened.
Yeah.
And I have that case sitting behind me because I love Hidden Fates, and I'm not going to open it because I need a case of that because it's my favorite set. Like, people ask me what my favorite set is sometimes. And if we're talking vintage, my favorite set is Unseen Forces. But if we're talking modern, and if I have to include vintage and modern, it might be Hidden Fates. It
I
might
love
be,
Hidden Fates.
yeah, it might be better than the vintage sets. I actually think it might be better than vintage. Like in some regards, Hidden Fates, in my mind, is sometimes better than vintage in 20 years, in 10 years. Like, would I rather open up an ETB of Hidden Fates or a base set pack? Oh, I'd much rather open up an ETB of Hidden Fates. Oh, so much more in 10 years from now than one
Yep.
base set pack, because they're roughly, I mean, a base set pack's what, 200, 250, 300 for like a light pack or something like that. That's a low ball offer, but you can get it in an auction for cheap.
Yeah. No,
So
I
like
feel
if you're
that.
lucky, you're patient, we'll say, and Hidden Fates ETB is what, like 150, 200, maybe in an auction, depending. I said I buy them at 140, but that's because I'm buying in bulk. I'm buying it on Facebook where, skipping fees and stuff. If you're buying it on auction, or if you're buying it on eBay, you're going to look at closer to 150 to 160 probably after tax and shipping and stuff.
Yeah. No, I feel you, honestly. I think Hidden Fates is the best set. I mean, not, let me think about it.
I mean,
I'll have to think about that.
it seems like it's such a good set, and like it got so many people into it again. I don't know. Like it was printed a lot though. It was printed a lot. A lot of people stored it in their closet. I
There's
am
so much
not the
Hidden Fates.
Yeah, I'm not the only one who has Hidden Fates. Like as far as every set is, I would venture to say I think more people hold Hidden Fates than probably any other Pokemon product.
Hmm.
Sealed. Sealed.
I could see that. I don't know. There's also
What
that weird wave, huh?
what product would you think would be more, like, if you were to take a snapshot of every collector's collection, the one product in every single collector's collection, what do you think it would be? It could be a card too, including Ancient Mew. You can say
That's
Ancient Mew if you
funny.
want. That's a good answer. You said Ancient Mew, I might say okay, you got a point.
See, what I've seen a lot is I see Battle Styles ETBs and Vivid Voltage ETBs a lot.
Oh, I don't see those at all, man. I never
Really?
see those. Yeah, no,
That's
everyone
so
knew Battle
interesting.
Styles is garbage. I never see that. People dump that stuff. Vivid Voltage is also so expensive. They're like 90, $100 a ETB. Those things are liquid. They sell quick too.
That's interesting. Yeah, I don't know, because I would always see these posts of people like, check out my sealed collection. And it's like people who got in like right after Hidden Faith. So all they had Battle Styles and Vivid Voltage. And so I'd
Right.
always see that.
But even those people have one Hidden Fates ETB in that collection. Think about it. You see all the Battle Styles, you see all that stuff too. But think about it, you always see one Hidden Fates ETB like in one of those old cereal box containers from like Target or whatever. You know what I mean?
No, I know what you're saying.
I feel like every single person has a Hidden Fates ETB in their closet. And even saying that, I still feel bullish on it.
I like Hidden Fates.
I still feel like it's a good product to hold.
I looked up sealed collection on Verbank just to see what people have.
Probably all
a lot of everyone holds on to ETBs. This only has Shining Fates ETB, Sword and Shield.
YouTubers
ETB.
all tell you that ETBs will gain higher than booster boxes. They tell you that ETBs are the real collectible and booster boxes are not. I don't buy that, by the way. I think that's a load of crap. That's a load of shit, to be honest.
I hate
sorry.
YouTube.
I 100% don't think ETBs are the play.
Dude, it's like, I think I made a video about this, but you should never listen to YouTubers ever again in your entire life. I hate YouTubers sometimes.
Yeah,
they give.
You got a good point. Like they're telling you the same thing everyone else is doing. So like,
yeah, dude, if one person is telling their audience of like 20,000 people to do this, that's 20,000 people who are all gonna be like, yeah, let me hold that. Let me hold. If they each held one whatever ETB, that's 20,000 ETBs in. You know what I mean? That's just one YouTuber, and it's like, bro.
There is one thing that people don't think about, that oftentimes the narrative of everyone having an ETB in their closet, I think it stops there, and it oftentimes doesn't get elaborated on. I would like to furthermore elaborate that I think there's a part 2 to that story. So I do believe everyone has a Hidden Fates ETB in their closet, but I don't believe everybody has the wherewithal to actually hold it in their closet for too long.
Yeah, I sold mine.
That's what I mean.
I was like, do I still have mine? And I'm like, no.
That's my point. Is either one of two things is going to happen. Either three things. Three things is going to happen. Either no, four things. I'm sorry. Okay, after four, that there are four things that are going to happen. Either someone is going to see the market go really high and it's going to go like whoop, and they're going to sell because they want to lock in profits, and that's admirable. I don't fault anyone in doing that. Or they're going to see the market go whoop and go down a lot, and they're going to want to sell to essentially not lose more and try to save themselves from losing more profit. And so that's the second thing that could happen. The third thing that could happen is they could just sit there and do nothing and literally just hold it. And so that's something that happened. But then the fourth thing, and the most likely thing that's going to happen, no matter what, no matter in any three of those situations, the most likely thing is the fourth thing, is they're just going to get home after a hard day and they're going to open that bad boy. Especially if they had a rough week. And especially if the market is just going sideways, or if it's gone a little bit down, or even if it's just gone a little bit up. If they have one, if they only have one, like if you have 20 of them, I don't think there's risk of it being opened. If you have 20 sealed ETBs in your closet of Hidden Fates, chances are you've probably been exposed to Hidden Fates enough that you don't want to open more, or you know why you have 20 sealed copies. But if you have one copy of Hidden Fates of any Hidden Fates product in your closet, like most people do, at some point you're going to open it. And that's because you probably haven't had enough exposure to Hidden Fates, and it's a really good product. And it's going to make your day better. And you know that, and it's been looking up, and you're never going to sell it because you have one. And so the mentality is they're probably going to open it. And so I would think that most people, while they do hold ETBs of Hidden Fates right now, I don't think they'll last through a downturn. And I don't think they'll I don't think a lot of them have lasted through the downturn that we've had. And I don't think that in the next 2 years, if it goes worse, or if it even trends sideways, I don't think that those will make it. And I don't think that what's going to happen is those people are going to sell for breaking even. And I don't think they're going to sell for a loss. I think they're going to open that product and just enjoy it. And they're just going to be like, you know what? I never got to do it before. Now what the heck? I've had it for this long. I've ate all of the loss that I had on it over time. And I'm okay with just opening. So that's what makes me bullish, and what makes me feel like, even though everyone has Hidden Fates in their closet and it's like the obvious play, that I don't think it was ever accessible enough that people have an abundance of it. And if they did, they would have sold that a long time ago when it was $200 a box. That's my argument for Hidden Fates. It's a little bit convoluted, and it's like, it's a two-part argument, right? Because like, on one part, I'm saying everyone has it, and everyone wants it, everyone has it, and everyone's storing it and not opening it. But on the other hand, I'm saying that all of that will eventually get opened, and that the people who don't open it are going to be rewarded. And I think that both are true.
Yeah, I could see that, honestly. I don't know. I guess I have a different perspective. I opened so much Hidden Fates, I was like tired of Hidden Fates. You know what I mean? And I got the Charizard, so I'm like, for me personally, I couldn't see myself I couldn't see myself wanting to open a box, but I could see where you're coming from in terms of like people opening.
So my Hidden Fates is for resale. It's for resale purposes. My Hidden Fates is speculation and resale. I have zero intention of opening it. I've opened enough Hidden Fates that I'm like you. I'm also over it. Like, I don't need to open it for myself. I never opened the Charizard. I still never opened the Charizard. I just bought it though. I bought it and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, dude, that's better.
Honestly. Like, I still haven't opened the Umbreon. I still haven't opened the Sylveon. I still don't even
the Umbreon,
or Sylveon. But I'm not tripping, because I think those singles are going to continue to downtrend. I actually think Hidden Fate singles I think they're a good buy at where they're at, $1 or $2 for the baby shinies, for most of them, or for the full arts. You can get some of those for like $3 to $5 in like bulk purchases, because people mix them in with their Shining Fates. I see so often Shining Fates baby lots with like half Hidden Fates babies that people don't even realize are Hidden Fates, because it's like, oh, it's just baby shinies, they're worth nothing, I don't care about them. Just get rid of them, just sell it. And like, that is like heartbreaking on one hand, but it's also one of the things that I would expect to happen, because it just keeps on getting opened. It is just an endless amount of these singles being liquidated, because the value is in the experience of opening it. It's not in the actual card. The value has always been in the actual experience. It's never been in the cardboard. These are cardboard. These are pieces of cardboard. I hate to break it to anyone watching like 2 hours in here, but what we sell is cardboard, and it has no real value aside from the memories that you make while you interact with it. I don't know if that's groundbreaking to anyone, but like I do think that the experience is important. So I don't know. What do you think? Do you think that the cardboard itself is valuable, or do you think that it's only the experiences and like what we put
Mm,
onto it? Or do you think there's some intrinsic value there? Because I say intrinsically they have value because you can play with them, but I don't really think they have value because there is just cardboard at the end of the day.
Technically, they have zero. I mean, they have the value of the paper and the ink, so that's probably like what 10 cents.
Oh,
But
yeah.
but I I don't necessarily agree with that. I don't know. It's not for me with cards. It's not necessarily about the memory. It's about I don't even like. I guess the memories are good. I'd say like I don't know. For me, it's about the experience of owning the card is what gives it the value to me. I'm not really sure how to phrase that. You know what I mean? But it's like when I look at a card, I like knowing its scarcity. I like knowing the context in which it was released, and I like the context of the artwork, or like the context of the Pokemon and the artwork in which, and that its relationship to me. I don't know. Do you know what I mean? I mean, I guess you could argue that that's like memory because it's like, you know what I mean? But I don't really tie anything to experiences. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, so I'm specifically, I think it's experiences more than memories because I don't personally like, maybe that's just because of how I am too. Like, for some reason, I remember things more in like the feeling or like the experience, the whole thing. I don't remember specific moments usually, really. So like, I guess when I say memory or experience, I'm really talking about like the overall experience of what your like your interaction with the hobby is. Because like, I never have just bought one pack or put one binder together, put it on my shelf, and then walked away. Right? I've never done and then not and went on to some other hobby. Like the way I interact with hobbies is I usually go pretty deep into them when I'm into them. And so like so I guess I make a lot of experiences with whatever I'm doing. So like whether it's like a video game at the time or whether it's like a movie that I'm into or a series or like a card game like Pokemon or my business or something, I'm usually all in on it. So I guess I make a lot of experiences, but like the thing itself, like at the end of the day, I move on to the next thing. It's not the thing itself that I think I really like. It's the it's like the like doing it, I guess. I don't know. And that goes along with life too. Like life is just really just a collection of events that we, have. So like I guess I try to value those events and like it always comes back to like me, I sell a material thing. Like I am in collectibles. There's nothing more materialistic than selling a collectible. And
yeah.
and like I try to fight that materialism. Like I am really not a materialistic person. And like but that being said, like I think there's more than materialism in the cards. Like I get more out of these cards than just cardboard. That's my point. Like, well, I don't think that they're valuable and I don't think there's any valuable. I value them because of the experiences that are brought from them, I guess. So I guess
Okay.
that's kind of, it's hard to explain. It's really hard to articulate, right?
Yeah, I feel that. I feel the same way.
But it's not the
Yeah.
card itself. It's just like, it's everything surrounding it that I like, well, the card I like, but
That's interesting. Yeah, for me, it's like I like the physicality of the cards. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. I feel like we're like getting into this like hard to explain feeling. You know what I
that's the
mean?
best part, right? That's why we have a podcast. No, but
Um,
I do think it's one of those things that like it's just how you interact with the hobby, right? And like it's kind of
mhm.
fun to have those types of conversations. I think it is, at least, because
Yeah, no, I
it
think
kind
it's
of keeps
fun.
me grounded and it keeps me checked. And I always do. I have to tell myself like I'm not materialistic. Like this is inventory. Like at the end of the day, I love this stuff, but I have to look at it like inventory at a certain point because like I value like my family and my time and like the experiences of life and like at the end of the day that's what should matter. So like it goes back to the whole burnout thing and it goes back to like what Leonhardt was talking about. I think when he's talking about like just doing what you love and taking that
Mhm.
time. And I think it's always a good thing to kind of reevaluate in life, right? Because like mean, life's about being happy. And like, if you're not happy, I mean, sometimes it's hard to change it, but I think you can usually do something to maybe small things to affect that happiness. It's good to kind of reevaluate that once in a while.
Mm-hmm. No, that makes sense.
Yeah, so some things coming out soon, though. Some moving on to more of a maybe a lighter topic here. Some things that people probably like to hear about from distribution. My distributor just dropped on me that he is getting a massive amount of product. Like, so let me just say, I have not been able to buy as much Brilliant Star as I've wanted to since the release. And the last time I saw him, he just got his the next wave of Brilliant Star, and so I was able to buy 4 cases today. 4 cases. I know it's not that much. Anyone listening, so some people listening will be like, 4 cases, that's so much. And other people listening, if you have like a store or something, I'm looking at you, Mason, you're like, 4 cases, that's rookie numbers. You better pump those numbers up. But 4 cases is more than I've been allowed to buy since Darkness Ablaze. And so that's a long time ago. And anyone who's been around for that long, you know, Darkness Ablaze was a print to demand, basically. And I did not buy 4 cases of Darkness Ablaze. I didn't want 4 cases of Darkness Ablaze. I think I bought 1 case when it came down to it. And then I eventually bought another case when it got restocked, because I do have a sealed case of Darkness. But yeah, it's a lot coming. So anyway, what we do have coming down the line is Brilliant Star is getting another auxiliary product with more, you guessed it, Cosmic Eclipse packs going in it. And so it's getting 2 Brilliant Star packs and 2 Cosmic Eclipse packs, I believe, which is pretty interesting. Also, what is it? There's, I don't have it in here, but there are these new boxes that are coming out that they have 5 boosters. It's like it's going to replace the lunchbox tins that they used to make. Like the they would make lunch boxes. Anyway, this product, I believe, is supposed to take the place of the lunch boxes.
That's cool, dude. I remember the back to the golden era real quick, or like that early golden era of like cool product is like the Mewtwo, the armored Mewtwo lunchbox.
I wish I had one of those.
Good times.
I wish I had one. I could never find those. I was looking for them because I always had my eyes out for them, but I think they were always sold out, or maybe a little bit before I was looking, or something.
There was so many. Dude, I remember I was getting into cards with Van, and he's like, I want a lunchbox really bad. He's like, will you buy me one? And I was like, we'll see what's up. You know what I mean?
What packs were in that? There were good packs too, right?
I don't remember. I just remember the promo is great. Like the promo is so sick.
There were tag team packs in there. I'm pretty sure it was like Cosmic Eclipse tag team. It had like some other tag team sets and stuff.
Yeah, probably like
Sun and Moon era good stuff.
Yeah, dude, I got in. I forgot. I got in at such a good time. I remember I could go to dollar stores and like they would have $1 million Dollar Tree packs. You know what I mean? And then it's
that's what I mean. Like, how is it that time was so good? Because like I don't disagree with you, but like, and I don't think that we're there right now. I don't feel like the hobby was the same place that was, and I don't get that kind of enjoyment. I get a different kind of enjoyment out of it, but like that time was really special in the hobby. It felt like for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if, I just keep going back to like, I wonder if we're going to get another one of those. Like, and that's the classic question is like, do you sell, do you buy, do you hold, diamond hands, like cardboard hands?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. What do you do?
Panic sell. That's literally my go-to joke on every YouTube video.
Yeah, panic sell. That's always the best option.
That's the funniest joke of my entire life.
Buy high, sell low.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the advice we can give you guys is buy high, sell low. That's what I say.
But yeah, dude. What, I don't know. So what else is coming? Is that everything that you know?
So not only is that stuff coming, so with and that's coming at the end of next month, but we're also getting Astral Radiance, which Astral Radiance I don't think is going to be a hit of a set. I think it's going to be a set like Fusion Strike, like Chilling Reign. You know, like the 1 week after release, people are going to be completely done with it, and they're going to be wanting more Brilliant Stars. In fact, I'm going to be hitting up my distributor, and I'm probably going to be trying to buy more Brilliant Stars. Even if I don't sell my Brilliant Stars, I'm going to try to buy more because I anticipate that Astral Radiance is going to be a miss, and I think that people are going to go back to the set before. So I'm kind of anticipating that.
We'll see what's up.
Honestly. So not only do we have Astral Radiance, though, because after that, and this is where my distributor started getting in a little bit of the weeds, because he was telling me he had so much product that he was getting worried. And like he hadn't said that since Champion's Path, when you remember if you remember in November when after Champions Path released, there was a short period of time where nobody wanted it. It got
Yeah.
its hype, and then it was like, we don't care about Champions Path. That's garbage. On to the next thing. Vivid Voltage is way better.
Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah.
And so he couldn't get rid of a lot of it, as well as a lot of Vivid Voltage ETBs at that time. And I remember thinking, like, he was saying the same thing. He's like, I'm getting worried. I have a lot of product. That product is long gone, and that stuff has gone to the moon since then. He did say, though, that he's getting worried about how much product he's getting of the Pokemon Go set. And so apparently the Pokemon Go set that's being released is going to be like a holiday set. Did you hear anything about the Pokemon Go set?
No, I have no clue what you're talking about.
Okay, so well, Flex Gods, a Pokemon YouTuber, I'm going to be able to tell you something for once instead of going and watching your videos. So that's good. Well, here we go. There's a new set, a Pokemon Go set that just got released. They're not released, but announced about 2 weeks ago. All we know about it is it's going to have 10 cards in the pack, so it's a normal pack, and it's going to be in a holiday set. I know a little bit more about it now. I know there's going to be 7 products released along with it. And so between everything, there's like the ultra premium, there's like an ETB, there's everything but booster boxes.
Okay, cool. So it's like
there's like Team Instinct, Team Mystic, Team what's the last one? Valor, the red one. They all have their own box. There's gonna be a box with all 3 together, I believe. Then there's an ultra premium box. It's gonna be probably like gold or platinum or whatever the hell they're gonna do. You know,
I forgot about
McDonald's fries in it or something to make it good. I don't know what they'll do with the new thing. Hopefully some new metal cards. What do you think that if they made more metal cards? Okay. Suppose they made 2 more metal cards to add to the new metal cards that they just did, like the Pikachu Charizard. Say they made like Blastoise Venusaur or something. Like, you think that would be
Blastoise and Venusaur get no love? But anyways, finish your question.
They don't. No, they don't. But supposing it doesn't have to be. Maybe it's Mewtwo. Maybe it's Lugia and Ho-Oh. Like, maybe it's not this product. But I guess let's move on, though, because I didn't think about this, but I want to know your take on this, because I don't know how I feel. I'd like to hear what you think before I decide on how I feel. But do you think that it would raise the price of those ultra premium, the Charizard Pikachu gold cards, with more gold cards being put out to collect? Or do you think it would start to maybe people would lose more interest in those, or lose interest in those and go for the newer ones? Or what do you think it would do to that?
My answer, how I feel, is I feel like it would have a very small effect. Like, I feel like it would be negligible in either direction. That's how I feel. But I'm not sure, you know, because I feel like it's just one of those things where they're like, oh, they're doing gold cards now, and it might bring a handful.
Gold cards?
Huh?
You like them, the gold cards?
I like them. I just think it's like they did it with the iconic Charizard and they did with Pikachu, and that's all they needed to do. Like, that's the craziest thing they could have done. So if they do Ho-Oh and Lugia, like, if people are gonna like the Ho-Oh and Lugia, they're already gonna be like, they already know about the Charizard and the Pikachu. Do you know what I mean?
Right. So then you think it wouldn't affect the price as much?
I don't think so, personally.
Yeah, I oftentimes fall into that trap. I oftentimes think that I can predict something based on like something. So, for example, I did this with the fusion. What are these? The V Union boxes. So you know the V Union stuff. The Pokemon that are 4 cards put together. Okay, so these things. So they reminded me of the Legends cards, right? So
yeah,
like it's very much so. It reminded me of the Legends cards. So I thought that when these came out, because everyone I thought would want to collect these in their binder, I thought they would make the Legends cards go up in value, because I thought the same binders would be cool. They'd be like, oh, cool, these are cool, but now that we got these, we want the original ones. And so I actually bought a bunch of the Legends cards, speculating, thinking, oh, these are going to go up for sure when these came out. Okay, well, when these came out, they were a huge flop. Like, nobody likes these. These things are the worst, one of the worst products. Not only is it bad, so there's only 4 packs in this thing.
Yeah.
So it's an expensive product. There's only 4 packs. Nobody likes these types of cards. They're really hard to find. They came out in a really lull period where nobody really wanted them. So like, I have a few of these, and I do like them. I think they're a cool collectible. But I speculated on the Legends cards, thinking that when this came out, it's gonna make everyone, and I was totally wrong. Legend cards didn't do anything. I still have a couple of them, I think, that I had, but I pretty much sold them because they just literally didn't move. I was just wrong about it, flat wrong. So like I oftentimes do this. I correlate a similar item that if I think it's kind of cool, kind of unique, I think, okay, this is going to make this one that's similar move. But I don't think that's always the case. And I've been burnt on that many times. That's something I need to get out of my head.
Mhm. Yeah, no, I feel you. I feel like that happens a lot where I don't know. I hear people talk about it a lot too, where they're like, "Well, this is going to lead to this, and that's going to lead to that." But it's like at the end of the day, all like everything is just a random occurrence of events. Like
And
I
I
think you said
don't think you can predict it. I don't think it's
it's
predictable.
unpredictable.
Yeah, because like I hear it all the time. People are like, "Oh, so I think X, Y, and Z. I have good reasons for this." They'll lay out the reasons, and it's like that's sound logic. And then what happens after the equal sign? It doesn't equal what's before the. It just doesn't equal the equation. It's like, how does
Yeah,
this happen? But it does, and so yeah, it's one of the things that like it's hard to predict. So like this is not good. Like it is not a good look for me saying, oh yeah, you want to get into this business, this is something you want to get into. Like me saying, how do you even predict anything? There is a level of predictability that you can have in this business, I would
I
say.
think I think it's very instinctual, and I think it's very based on like following your instincts and what you're. I think more so than anything, instead of trying to predict like a trend or like an event leading to another event, I think it's more. I've been thinking about this a lot recently, but it's more of a test of your taste. Does that make sense? And it's like when people are like buy what you like, it's like I think it's good advice because your taste, you're trusting your taste to be other people's taste and to have future implications. Do you know what I mean? So it's more of
Yeah.
like a I don't know,
So
that's how I think about it.
yeah, and I agree. And what you're saying, it does remind me of something, the most important lesson I learned in my entire adult life, I want to say. I feel like this is a tough. How's this going to come out in like 3 hours?
Mm,
The number one lesson, and this is the corniest thing you'll ever hear, and it's the only true thing I can really tell you that I've learned after 30 plus years of being an adult and of like doing what I want. The only thing that made me step out of my shell and really gain, I think, the real true confidence that I feel like I have now. I don't think I'm on a final form or anything, but I do feel good about where I'm at. And the only reason that that happened, I can lead it back to one realization is that I realized I need to start trusting myself.
yep.
And so for my whole life, I went thinking that I was special. I thought that I was unique and that my experience, the human experience, was unique to me. And there was no way anyone else could relate to me and feel that way because I thought I was special. Right. And like what the biggest realization to me was like when I realized I wasn't special and that what I was feeling was what everyone else was feeling. And that realization and that embracing that and not like trying to be like, no, I'm special, I'm different than everyone else. Like and that embracing that realization that like, you know, I mean, be confident in yourself, like, and what you like is important. And like, so when I started trusting myself, that is when I started making decisions that I didn't start listening to other people on. I started making decisions that were moves. And I felt like, you know, I felt confident in certain things. And I think some of those decisions were my best decisions after I started realizing that I need to trust my instincts and my feelings. Because I think a lot of us struggle with this inner dialogue. It's like, you're not good enough, you're you know, so and so is better, you compare yourself to
Hmm.
other people, and it's really not good to have that thought, but it's something we all go through. We know it's not good to have those thoughts, but we still struggle with it. And for some reason it took me over 30 years to realize that. And just that realization that like, hey man, you're not special, you're cool, but you're not that cool. And then taking that and realizing like, okay, well, with that, I feel very much more connected to everyone else because like when I'm feeling something, I feel like other people are feeling it. And so if I'm feeling that way, then I should just trust what I'm feeling and probably I can make moves based on that. So like I
Yeah.
think it is instinctual, but at the same time it takes that level of confidence. And I wish that like it was as easy as just throwing a Disney quote like believe in yourself out there for people to like actually feel that way because it took me
Hmm.
a journey to get there.
It took me a lot of time, honestly. It
And I'm
takes
still
a lot of
going.
time.
Like I still feel like I'm making that journey at times, you know?
Hmm. Yeah, no, definitely. Therapy is good. I went to therapy a lot. Helps a lot for a side topic, but there.
Yes, absolutely. And I mean, that's another thing. I think that a lot of things aren't talked about like that, and just the public, like, I think it should be a lot more accepted to kind of just go and talk to someone for those types of things. But yeah, that aside though, I mean, it is such a Disney like corny thing to say, but like you got to kind of believe in yourself sometimes, right? And it does
Yeah.
pay off a lot of the time. And then it goes back to like you got to be able to take those losses too, because
Mm-hmm.
like when you take those risks and you do believe in yourself, sometimes you get things wrong, and it feels bad, man. It feels bad when you believe in something it's wholeheartedly and you get it wrong. You got to get back on that horse. It's like you
Yeah.
got to get back up on that horse and try again, man, because like you're probably right about other things and you don't want that to affect what you were right about. So
Yeah. It's
like,
all a balancing act. I feel like, you know what I mean.
yeah, and I think this hobby is really good for learning in that. I think that's a very young hobby. I was thinking about this the other day. A lot of the people in this hobby, they don't have their full like life laid out and ahead of them. They're just still on the journey. A lot of people don't know what their next month to month looks like. And we
Mm-hmm.
talk a lot about like investments and stonks and like, oh, go and fill out your 401k before you think anything about Pokemon cards. But like the realistic thing is like people like to enjoy these things, and like they're learning and they're on this journey, and it's a different journey. A lot of them are younger. And so like I think we're going to see it grow in the next 10 to 20 years. I think I've said this on the podcast. I think in the next 10 to 20 years, we're going to see good growth, because the age range of people that are in this hobby are going to be finding themselves, so to speak. And then that with that comes a lot of better income, because
Yeah.
what comes along with confidence is oftentimes success, which is
Mm-hmm.
a weird correlation. It's not always true. You see
I think
dumb,
it.
but
Hmm.
dumb confident people, it's not necessarily successful, but a lot of the time confidence does bring success. So kind of have to find a way to be confident in times.
Yeah. No, I feel you. I feel like confidence is everything. Like I have homies who are just they're 100% confidence. They're 90% confidence, 10% skill, and they still kill it.
They're
And I
rocking
almost
it.
think, yeah, that's
Yeah.
a skill in its own way. Is like having that like unbridled confidence of just being able to be like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like that, I mean, obviously they have to know deep down to some essence that they don't know what they're doing, but being able to like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm gonna say I know what I'm doing and I'm gonna figure it out as I go. And that's
But
a
they
that's a
know
very
that
powerful.
within themselves that they're going to learn it at least well enough that they can fake it that much. And so they're going for it. So you know what?
Mm-hmm.
I admire those people. I do. I
Yeah.
admire that.
But yeah, I admire those people too. But anyway, like I don't know, with the whole trusting yourself, I really do feel it's like it's a muscle almost in a way. Like it's kind of like you just have to take little risks, and then you see the risks pay off, and then you slowly learn. That's what happened for me, is you slowly learn to trust yourself more. And there's like so many things where I'm like, I don't know, it's weird. Do you ever feel like people who are new to things see it from such a better light? This is might be a tangent, but it's like I remember when I first started, there was like certain cards I would look at and I'd be like, that's $100 card, and then I'd look it up and it'd be like a $5 card. But
Mhm.
then now after like some things have changed, like I remember I was like when I first started, like the stamp cards from the EX era,
Mhm.
bro, all those cards were like $5. Like I
Yeah.
remember they were like $2, $3.
Mhm.
And I was like, these cards look really good. I thought they were all like $30, $40 cards. You know what I mean? And now a lot of them have reached that like point, at least for like the rarer Pokemon. So I'm like, oh. And then it's like, even like when I would go to the store with Van, he's like, I want that lunchbox. He wanted that lunchbox so bad. And he wanted a bunch of random things. And a lot of that stuff, like, you know what I mean? It's like seeing it from almost like a pure perspective of like what brings you enjoyment, and what, like, taking away prices, taking away context, taking away everything. There's this weird essence within products and items. And I don't know, you know what I mean? I'm not necessarily sure what I'm trying to get at, but there's this essence to things, and it's like people feel them, especially when you come from at it like from such like a pure perspective. And that it's hard to capture that essence, but it's
We
like
get
when you
jaded. The thing is, we get jaded over time. Like it happens in everything. So what you're saying is so true. Like that purity of that new collector, like, is almost
Mhm.
invaluable. And so I love picking new collectors' brains. And I love hearing what people say when they enter the hobby. I mean, this hobby is so like we've said this multiple times, but we do not interact with this hobby in the way that like most people do. I think a lot of people are in and out of the hobby a lot more than people realize. Like, oh, they don't even realize this new set's coming out. That some people, they're just going to go to the store, buy a few packs, they're going to put it in their binder, and they're going to keep doing their work thing. And then they're not going to realize this Astral Radiance set is out until they, a month later, they find it and they go and put some more. So it's very much so like, it's different, like for different people. So I always pick their brains, the new collectors, especially though, because like you're saying, it's you can learn something. It's like, it's like the innocence of a child. Like kids say the darndest things. It's like they are almost the most honest because they don't have, or like drunk people are the most honest because they have no inhibitions. They're just saying what they feel, right? But
and we have too much logic, we have too much exposure, we have too much everything that creates a weird, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So we get jaded. So I think it's always hard to check that. And I think a lot of what we talked about tonight is like that self-checking process. And I think it's how important it is. Like this is a very like this theme of this podcast, I think is very much so like checking yourself and like just making sure you're healthy and enjoying what you're doing in the hobby. Because it is a hobby at the end of the day. And it's one of the things that we got into because we loved it. But like if people are starting to feel burnt out and things like content creators and stuff, I definitely think it's important to kind of take that step back and really kind of reevaluate where you're coming from, right? It's always easier said than done. Like someone like, Leonhardt, who does it for a job and he supports his whole income based on views. Like it's a little bit different. Like for me, content creation is not a level of like support for income, so I don't feel a necessity to put out content, so like I don't get that as much, but like if this stuff stops selling, and like I would be really worried. So it's I get it. Like that's his product. Like his content is his product, so like I get it. So that in some ways I'm thankful that my content isn't my product in a lot of ways. I mean, just because it's like
stressful.
It seems stressful. It seems like it would be stressful if like things are really hype, but then when they die down, it's kind of like it would be a lot more difficult probably.
Yeah, we were talking about this earlier with the burnout of YouTube, and I felt like I was a weird crossroads of like, I don't know, because I like talking about this stuff and I like helping people make the most informed decision and just kind of being like real about where I'm at and like in terms of like buying cards, selling cards, market, all that stuff. But then I know there's like the other side where it's like you kind of just talk about cards. You do like random shit with cards and you're just like, yeah, guys, and that's where the views are at. So I'm like, do I want views or do I want to be real? Or like, do you know what I mean?
You can probably intersect a little bit, but I definitely get what you're saying. Yeah, you kind of have to toe that line a little bit.
Yeah, because I mean, there's like the Twice Baked Jake like segment or like part of it all. You know what I mean? Where it's like he talks about the stuff, but it's very like I don't want to say like surface level, but it's very like you know what I mean? But it's enough information for people who are the general population to be like, oh, that's cool. This video is going to get
that's like on purpose. And I think I think he knows a lot more than he lets off on his videos, not because he doesn't think his followers can handle it, but because I think that he wants to keep it simple and to the point. I think he's really good at what he does.
Dude, honestly. Yeah, I was thinking of simplifying stuff. I feel like maybe I'm putting too much on the table in terms of like trying to get a general. I don't know. I think that's where I got a lot of the burnout, because I'm like, do I just want to keep doing this and just going deeper in the rabbit hole and just having a more niche like audience, or do I want to try to expand into a more generalized audience? You know what I mean? And I'm like, I think that dilemma created a weird problem in my head, and it made me go like it made me feel like paralyzed because like I don't know. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, no, totally. And that's the thing that like sometimes it's better just to like make a decision one way or the other rather than feeling that paralysis, but it's hard to do that. So like it just takes time, you know. I do feel like right now is a great time for YouTube. Like I feel like a lot of YouTubers and Poke YouTubers are like back to their real life and they're like stopping with the content right now because they feel like the train's left or something. That screams opportunity to me. So
yeah, I need to grind out the YouTube more. I just need to figure out what I want to make.
Like and subscribe, folks.
Subscribe. You guys already know.
We're gonna keep doing this every 2 weeks, so you won't be getting rid of us that easily, folks. You made it this long, then you're gonna get some more weeks of this.
Do you think we should wrap up soon? I think we're at 2 hours.
Yeah, we're probably at a good time to start wrapping up. I had my little list of questions. We went through all of them and then some, so that's good. I feel like it was a good conversation.
I had
I do
fun.
feel like let's just wrap up with like, where do you feel like in the next month? Where do you think about the hobby? How do you feel about it right now? Because I do feel differently about it now than I felt about it last like 3 weeks ago in our last episode.
You
I'm
tell me
feeling a
how
little
you
more
feel.
bearish.
Do you? Okay.
Yeah.
Why? I feel the same. I feel pretty much the same. Tell me how you feel. Let me think.
So last time I think we did this was like last couple of we were talking about the market. I said that I was feeling incredibly bullish about the market because I felt like it was bottomed and I felt like it was on its way up. And I thought that after coming off all that huge modern reprint and stuff, I thought people were just going to be done with it. So I do think people are on board with it more than I thought they were, but I'm feeling like it was like, what do they call it? It's the dead cat bounce when it comes to like
Oh,
the
I know what you're saying.
the
Yeah.
stock
The
price where
stock. Yeah.
where it goes really high, it goes down, then it bounces and it goes high again, and then it goes down again. It's like if you
Yeah.
drop a cat, it's a terrible. I don't know where that saying came from, but I think that's what they call it on the
I know.
internet.
I've seen that one before. I know exactly what you're talking about.
But I do sort of feel like Astral Radiance is going to be a little bit of a miss. And I think we're going to slide right very quickly back into that Fusion Strike kind of after celebrations release period where people are just kind of like, ah, just wait till the next thing, kind of done with it. The only
Mm-hmm.
difference is like this time, what are people like? People don't have like the 25th anniversary thing to say that that's coming next. So like, what argument can be made for Pokemon? Like when someone's like, "Oh yeah, Pokemon's done. The bubbles popped. We're on to other things. We like Minecraft now." Like, what can you say to them? You used to be able to say, "Oh yeah, well no, we're good for another year. We got the 25th anniversary here, and it'll take at least a year there." Now that the 25th anniversary, they've announced they're going to stop printing that. I'm feeling a little bit more bearish and more like I think the sideways trend is happening. I don't think we're going to crash and I don't think it's going to go to zero, but I'm feeling more bearish to the point where I don't feel the pressure to buy that I was feeling a
Mm-hmm.
month ago, where I felt like I need to be buying everything. I
Yeah.
felt like a month ago, I needed to be buying everything. Like I felt like if I slept and auctions went with, if I didn't put it on my Gixin and like set it and forget it and like bid on it while I was sleeping, I felt like I was missing out. Whereas I don't feel that way anymore. And I feel a little more like I have time and I'm feeling a little more bearish. So I guess in long form, that's how I feel right now about the hobby. I still like the hobby. I'm still excited for it, but I'm feeling less bullish and more bearish about it, at least in the near
Mm-hmm.
to like year and a half future, maybe. So that's my
No,
thoughts.
I could see that honestly. I think it's for me personally. I'm at the point where I'm trying to like amass a lot of cash to spend. I think a lot of opportunities are going to keep coming in, like a lot. And I think I don't know if that makes
What
me
way?
bearish or bullish.
In what
I
way
don't.
do you think opportunity will arise?
In a lot of like people trying to dump stuff. It's like, you know what I mean? It's not crazy. So people aren't like, oh my God, all my cards are worth a lot. It's like a lot of people have been hit by reality. So there's
Mm-hmm.
going to be a lot of like, people are going to sell their card. They're going to be like, oh, this card was $1,000 card. And they're going to be like, oh, it's not selling for $1,000 anymore. And then it's like, there's going to be like a lot of like fire sales and that type of things. I think there's just going to be a lot of like those
So,
types.
but that would, do you think that would create opportunity though? Because while in a bullish market where things are going up, if you get something for like a fire sale, good deal because someone has a medical expense or they have to pay rent or whatever it is, they're over leveraged and you're just kind of buying it, it is an opportunity because then you're going to be able to do well. But if things are going the other way or even sideways, I almost feel like that's riskier because like buying something, like it's like trying to buy a ship that's already kind of sinking with damage on it rather than just kind of buying a new ship or something. I don't know. So like
That
I
makes
feel like
sense.
I don't know if that would create as many opportunities. Like a year ago, it would have felt like an opportunity, but I think it would be misleading potentially to think of it the same way in a different turning market. Maybe I'm completely wrong
Mm,
on that though. Maybe it's like, oh, you're an idiot, old. Like it always does this. It does this like wave. It'll do that till the end of time. Like, why are you doing this if you don't have confidence in it? But I do feel like I think we're in a little bit more of a sideways trend for some reason. Maybe it's just today. I feel
I can
differently every
see
day.
that.
So
I mean, it's hard. Like, there's no real answer. You know what I mean? But for me, like, my one thing that I've always, I mean, I've been in like a lot of people have been longer in the market than I have, but it's like ever since I started buying and selling, it's like it almost seems like no matter what, as long as you keep buying and selling, no matter where the market is at, then you're okay. Do you know what I mean? And as long as you, it goes back to adapting. We were talking about adapting, but as long as you adapt where, like, regardless of where the market is here, as long as you can kind of see where you are and try to have a sense of it and then adapt accordingly, then you'll be okay no matter what. And so I don't know. And also too, this is something I've been thinking about. I was thinking about making a video about this, but I might be completely wrong. But it just seems like the whole junk slab era has been over. It almost feels over exaggerated.
Thank you.
Do you remember a year ago, like when everyone's like junk slab? Even I was like junk slab era.
It's coming. It's get ready. They're gonna be
Dude,
worth
it's not
nothing,
even that
guys.
bad. I
You
think
have
it's
to make
bad
it-
for like modern, like, obviously, like if we go look at like evolutions or like if it, like any of the more recent sets, like yeah, there's a lot of that stuff and there's a lot of 7s and there's a lot of 8s. But you go to any of like the middle of the EX era cards, and it's like, wow, like you go to Pokemetrics, you look at a card, like I was looking up this Dark Tyranitar right here. You know what I mean? Like the other, I'm actually looking at it right
Doesn't
now.
move. Those
pop,
numbers don't move.
The pop in the past 52 weeks, a PSA 10, there's been 10 more in a year, and there's been 21 more there's been 10 more in a 10, there's been 21 more in a 9. So the pop's at 62, and it's like apparently everything was supposed to be graded. You know what I mean? It's
Oh,
like
everything. Yeah, no, everyone in the mother is grading. Every card ever is graded. Kids are going to start playing decks with graded cards. They're not even going to use real cards anymore. Why would you use graded cards for everything? It's worth less if it's raw, or no, it's worth more if it's raw than if it's graded. So
yeah, and I think like there was some truth to that whole like junk like slab era thing where it's like, yeah, like a lot of like the weird, like in the more modern cards that are readily accessible, there's like huge pops on those now, but it's like a lot of them are old stuff. I'm like, wow, it increased by 10. Like, do you know what, like I feel like
Charizard V from Champion's Path. What do you think about that card? There's over 13,000 copies graded of it already.
Watch, I want to look at it. Champion's Path Charizard.
Charizard V, the full art. You know which one I'm talking about.
Wait, is it the promo one?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, the full art promo from the ETB, the one that every single person graded all of.
I'm not super into it.
You don't like it? I like it. I love the card.
How much is it right now?
It's roughly 30 to 50 bucks, depending on what auction you get it in, what time of day. It'll run anywhere from 30 to 50.
In a 10?
In a 10. Yeah, in a 10.
I'm researching. Give me 1 sec. I'm curious. It's Charizard V.
Champion's Path promo, the ETB promo. I don't know which number it is. SW, it's SH or SWSH.
Oh, it's a promo, huh?
Yeah, so it's a promo.
20 promo.
I don't know what number. It's like SWSH something, but it's the Charizard from Champion's Path. That card has been graded over 13,000 times, I believe, and it still sells for 30 to 50 bucks, and it's not scarce. I believe that over 80 something percent of them are 10s. Over 80 something percent of the pop are 10s as well. So it's majority 10s, not 9s.
Yeah.
So like a card like that, like there's no fundamental scarcity or rarity for that. And there's no reason for anyone to ever grade another one of those cards. But I think the pop is still probably going up on that card. And I believe it's going to keep going up. But a card like that, like that just doesn't make any sense. But I don't think it has to make sense because it's a card that I think, I know you said you didn't like it, but I think a lot of people really like that card. And I think they'll buy it at those prices, even if it doesn't make sense.
Really quick. The population at 10 is 17,000.
Oh, 17,000 now. It was 13 a few months ago, and
it's 17,000 in a 10, and I mean they're including the 9s are at 11,000.
So altogether, it's got over 30,000, like almost 30,000 graded.
Yeah, it's like 32,000.
How many PSA 1s exist?
3.
Oh, there are some. I'm not the first one. Where's that pop 1, baby? Where's that pop 1 PSA?
There's a pop 0 of the 1.5 if you can get a 1.5.
They like to give me 1.5s, bro. It's their favorite thing.
If you can hit that 1.5, you'll be the only owner. So keep that in mind.
They like giving me 1.5s. They love it.
Oh, that's a nice swirl too, though.
Oh, it's such a good. I love this card. Like, I'm gonna break it out, and I probably won't break it. I'll keep the 1.5 for the memes, but I like that specific card. Yeah. This swirl.
Yeah. What? Sorry, what were you saying though? That it's just gonna be a card that sells.
So yeah, that is a card that says price point to me that grading you can't really, the pop reports and like grading and like prices, it doesn't always make sense. And like for me, that card makes 0 sense, and yet it's super liquid. What do you think about the future of that card though? Do you think that people will continue to like consume that card and want it, and you think it'll tick upwards?
I could see it being like an ancient Mew kind of card. Do you know what I mean? Where it's like kind of like you kind of, I don't know, you're like kind of new and you're like, oh, I want some cool, I want a graded card and a 10, and you're like, oh, this Charizard's sick. It's only $40. You know what I mean? And then you go buy it.
You want to know how I feel about that Charizard?
Hmm.
I had so I don't own a single copy of it except for in my ETBs that I have of Champions Path.
Yeah.
I was I sold every one of them for $15 when they came out. They were going for $20 when they came out, like 1999. You could buy them for $20. I sold them all for 15 in bulk because I just was like, I already know. I thought about sending them, but I knew that play everyone do. But then again, it would have been the right play because if I would have sent all of those 30 to $50 each, that's better than $15. That's about 20 extra dollars.
Yeah.
After fees. So like, I mean, it wouldn't have been, I don't think it would have been the right play, but it was, and it was an obvious play, but it wasn't the play I wanted to make. So like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think there's like, it's weird because on one hand I say the junk slabs, like they exist, and that's a classic case of a junk slab. But like that is the junkiest of junk slabs, and it still sells for 30, $50. Bro, I bought this for $50. For 30 something dollars and shipping and everything. Where is it? Okay, all of these. Each one of these was, some of them less than others. Wizards of the Coast 8.5 CGC hollows, perfect, like no subgrades, but I looked at the cards, all of them looking like perfect, nice cards. These were each under $50. So like you can make the decision to like buy that Charizard, or you could buy like a potentially PSA 10 CGC 8.5 Wizards, and this one was only $20. You could have bought two of the ride-ons, and like, you know, the Meganium that was closer to 50. They're a little, they run in the range. They're all auctions too. You won't find those for buy it now at that price. But like,
yeah, definitely not.
Yeah, but like that's the kind of thing that you could get instead of that Charizard. And I think that people know that and they don't care and they'd rather have the Charizard.
You think so? I feel like it's like, I don't know. I feel like that's like a beginner card. It's like the
It's totally a
Charizard.
beginner card. And I think those beginners would rather have that card than those hollows. I think those hollows, while they might remember, while they might know, oh, those are old, those are cool, like it's not as flashy. And like at the end of the day, even though those are a lot older, it's still just cardboard. It's still just, you know, maybe 20 years older, but it's still just a piece of cardboard. So they have the same value. It's just old, that's all. So like where does the value? I mean, we always come back to this. Like, where does value derived from? Is it like the collector? Is it like the, and so I mean it's a fun conversation to have, but I think we go around and around for ages on that, right? But yeah, I do think the junk slab thing, I agree with you. You should make a video about this because I think I've heard people say this, but most of the narrative is the opposite. The narrative is, oh, junk slabs are coming, because people are always wanting to be overly cautious and tell people, especially in a bearish market, they like to be overly cautious. In a bull market, it's like if you say anything bearish, you're like chastised. It's like, ooh, you are a hater, down vote hater. It's like get your haterade, but no, I do think that the junk slab era may be a little bit overstated.
Dude, I know the junk era has been greatly over exaggerated. That's how I feel right now. I mean, I might be wrong.
It's such a long, drawn out like release of the cards too, that like it's not like they're all being released in a tidal wave. Like they are all coming out, a lot of them at the same time, but like it's still being trickled out and it's being sold in auctions and like things are being sold and paid for. So it doesn't feel like that junk slab era really ever got to us yet.
I'm curious. I mean, my video might age very bad, but I'm like, a lot of the cards that are like meant to be rare have proven themselves to be pretty rare so far. A lot. I mean, obviously you have to kind of wait until certain cards, like obviously there was like a point where cards, a certain card was worth grading. Do you know what I mean? So it's like maybe it's like the backlog isn't there to where these stamped cards are worth sending in yet. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's a lot. It's hard to tell. and I'm like, I don't know. I like set cards. I know some people are like trophies only, but
I
I
love set
like
cards.
I
Yeah.
like set cards. So
I
it's like
don't like trophy cards. I specifically don't like them.
hmm I'm not super into them. I've
They're
never really gotten into
they're
them.
unaccessible and to the general public, and they don't hold that hold that connection to the public that I think that
That's
these
how I kind of
cards
feel
have.
too. I mean, they have scarcity, they have rarity, they have a lot of things going for them, but we'll see.
I
You
bought
know what I mean?
my first like it's not a trophy card, but it's kind of a trophy card, I guess. It's not. It's the Tropical Wind.
Mm-hmm.
So
That card is cool.
the original 2004 Tropical Wind. I didn't get a stamped copy or a winter copy or anything, but I just got a copy for my binder. But
Yeah,
I picked it up for a steal. I got it for like 120, which I thought was really good. They go for like 200 regularly.
that's not bad,
Yeah,
honestly. Heck.
I need it. It's cool card. But I specifically don't like trophy cards though. I don't. I like that people collect them, and I respect the people who collect them. But personally, I do not like them. Maybe I'm just not there yet. Maybe it's because I'm a lame PSA 1 collector. Maybe I like set cards too much, but I just have no desire to own like so like if I had to get something like one card that was going to be worth like $5,000 to $10,000 as like a low end trophy card, I would rather have a sealed box of one of my favorite EX era sets, or a sealed product from one of my old, like a set I never got to open from like mid era
Mm-hmm.
personally, or an old Magic the Gathering box that's still undervalued, I think, for like
Yeah,
10K rather than having one graded card. So I am not a graded collector though, and I've said that a million times that like I am not the person to talk to about graded cards because I don't value them. So it's just that simple for me. But I can
yeah,
understand where people like them. It's just we're on different wavelengths. That's all. Like those people and me are on different wavelengths.
yeah. No, I feel you, but
All right. Well, let's wrap it up here. If you are still watching, you guys are the real ones. We appreciate you. I'm feeling good about market. I'm feeling bearish, but still good about the market though. Just to end on that, but
oh yeah, I don't even. Did I answer your
you
question?
said said you were kind of feeling like it was okay. I feel like, but
I feel the same. I don't
yeah,
know. I kind of feel you. It might be one of those like dead cat bounce kind of things where it's
that's what
like
I'm feeling. Like the little bit of
bull
rise that
trap.
we're seeing. That's what
Yeah,
I'm
but
feeling about
we'll
that.
see. Yeah, before we started talking, I think PK had a video and it was like talking about bull trap.
That's what it's called, a bull trap. Thank you. I said the most offensive way to say it, the dead cat bounce. It's actually called a bull trap, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're both the same thing. I've seen the
It
term
is.
dead cat bounce too.
Oh
So
yeah, it's the same. It's referring to the same phenomena, I believe. I think the bull trap is actually the downward. It's like that U right there that like people, the
mhm.
bulls see it going down and they're like, "Woo, let's go, yeah!" But really, it's the last hurrah, and it's just them buying, and they're like, "Oh," and then it goes down again after the bulls get trapped there.
Yeah,
'Cause,
we'll see
you
what's
hear
up.
you hear people constantly say, "Oh, I can't wait for Pokemon to crash. I'm gonna buy it all." They're like, if it gets to X, Y, or Z, I'll buy it all. That's a flat out lie. They will not.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
as long as I keep hearing that, like people say that, I don't think that the hobby is really in danger.
I agree. Because I mean, there's points where I'm like for me, I'm like, if I saw certain cards go for like $50, $100, it's like, yeah, of course I'm gonna buy it. Like it's like no brain. You know what I mean?
In
And
this
then
market, yes, but in like another market, you might think differently. That's my point. Is that like it's one way to say that. Like in October of 2020, it was one thing to say, "Oh, if I
I see
saw
what
a
you're saying.
Charizard for 100,000 or 200,000, I would buy it in a heartbeat." That's going to 400,000. But now, as Charizard first edition PS 10 has been going down, you see that for like 250,000. You're like, that's kind of market price. I don't know if it's just going to keep going up or if it's going to go. You have to think about it a little more. So like
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. You're
different
right.
timing, you think different things is what my point is really. And so like I hear a lot of people say, "Oh, if X, Y, or Z happens, I would buy it all." And I just want to say, no, you would not. Because if that
Hmm.
was the case, you would have bought years ago in X, Y, or Z of a different product that this is still happening for.
Yeah.
So yeah. It's always fun to hear those types of things because they're indicators to me. I'm like, when I hear these things said or see them in YouTube comments and things, I'm like, okay, it's an indicator. We're still okay right now.
Yeah, we'll see what's up. Okay. I think we
All
should
right. So
call it.
like
I
and
think it's
subscribe, everyone. Thank you for tuning
like
in. We're going to go ahead and end the podcast here. But if you would like to see more, we are going to have this on its own unique channel. So Cardboard Hands Podcast. Just look up the same name, Cardboard Hands, and it'll come up just under a different pod. We are going to continue doing it for about 2 or 3 more weeks on this channel, just for the people who are only subscribed here so they can kind of move over. And we'll keep on saying it every time. But yeah, go subscribe, check the link down below. And I appreciate you coming in and watching, everyone. And thank you, Flex, for coming in and talking as usual.
Sounds good. All right.